What is going on, everybody? We are here, the 2026 NFL Draft. This is year 10 of this live show that started way back in a college dorm room. And we've brought it here, and we're really excited about this. These get more exciting every year. Now we're going to have, less time between picks. This is great. I'm really excited. This is a really intriguing draft, I think, top to bottom, especially when you look at just kind of the variance between, once Mendoza's announced, what are the Jets going to do? It's still heavily debated about whether or not it's going to be David Bailey, whether it's not going to be Arvell Reese. All of that to say, and Arizona, there's talks about the Chiefs moving up, Dallas moving up, Cleveland's trading back. The Rams want to go get a playmaker. There's so much to this draft. The Dolphins, right, for the Packers fans, the Dolphins. How does Packers South attack the draft with the new regime? What's their plan of attack? How is that going to work? Is there going to be a second quarterback going tonight? How are the receivers going to fall? In a class full of outliers, when we look at the Ruben Bain arm length, we look at Mesidor as an older prospect. We look at, even a lot of these guys that are older, right? The Jacob Rodriguez's and the Emmanuel Pregnons, Trayton Stukes, all these guys we're going to talk about over the next 2 days. It's kind of a strange draft, especially when you look at the top of this draft class. In my opinion, what do we see? It's two guys who have played off-ball linebacker. One of them dropped down to the line of scrimmage and played some edge rusher, and Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese. You have Caleb Downs, who I think is an extremely, extremely talented safety, right? And then you have Jeremiah Love, incredible running back, contact balance, burst, all of that stuff. It's so good. I think you look at those guys, you look at Bain, you look at Mendoza. I think all of that to say, yeah, this is what it's about. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. We're going to have to, take some time. It's going to take a little bit for this thing to get kicked off. We know we got to do all of that intro stuff. And so, yeah, we'll get there. This will be fun. I'm definitely excited. Hopefully we got some people rolling in tonight. But yeah, I figured, it's year 10. Might as well get the suit jacket out and have some fun with that. So that's what we're going to do here. It's going to be great. My dad's always here. Always appreciate the support from the fam doing this, which is really exciting. I see Drew. I see Ayers. I see Packed 24/7. We're going to have a blast. Make sure you hit that like button also. If you can, hit sub button if you haven't. I think, that helps a lot. That helps people come in. But again, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. No question about that. No matter how many people are here, we've got all the graphics ready. We've got every angle of every pick that you could ask for. So yeah, without further ado, let's roll. There is a piece of news, a piece of intel that I feel like we should probably talk about at this point because of kind of all the timing of it all. George Pickens, he signs the franchise tag. He signs to play under the franchise tag in 2026. Now, what that means to me, at least, is basically we're going to have a potential trade tonight, because as of yesterday, he wasn't signing. He wasn't going to play under the franchise tag. He was going to continue to be holdout, all of that stuff, try to negotiate the long-term deal. Dallas said, no, thank you. We will not be doing that. So the fact that they signed him, and Dallas has 2 picks, and there's some talented receivers in this class, you never know what could go down. So I would definitely keep track of that. So yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm really, really excited to see how this all shakes out. So yeah, I know there's Vrabel news and all of that, but that's not really. We're not going to talk about that. That's not interesting. The interesting, I think, part is just how all of this is going to shake out, right? Like, this is, I don't know. I can't wait to find out, though. I cannot wait to find out. And it's have a snack, have some dinner, grab something to drink. I've got water next to me. It's going to be a long evening, but hopefully less long, because we have 8 minutes, not 10 minutes, between the picks tonight. Let's look at we got to. Oh, smart move to keep him in house, or did I misunderstand? It sounds. I mean, I think he might be moved. At least there's a chance that he is moved if this happens for the right price. Because the fact that he signs it today is, I think, noteworthy. I can't wait to find out though where he's going to end up. So, yeah. Oh, I put together. Yeah, we could do this. This will be a fun thing to do. Let's. Nope, not there. We'll change this up here. We'll remove this. We'll grab the mock draft I submitted. Here, let me see. Root for chaos. Where are you? Yeah, so the rooting for chaos thing, I know it's a little small, but there's some late buzz about D'Angelo Pons potentially being somebody who sneaks into round one. There is a little bit of that down the stretch here. I have Ty Simpson going in the first. Jeremiah Love to the Cardinals might be something that happens tonight. But yeah, if you got questions, make sure you drop them in there. And yeah, I think we're ready for Goodell to get this thing going and for this for the tweets to come in. By the way, for those watching, we will be breaking the picks as soon as we have them. We're not going to wait around for the kind of the suspense. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to keep this thing moving. Air says, I hope Akis and deny Dennis Sutton go well before we, meaning Green Bay, pick tomorrow night. Don't want him. Understandable. Drew says, where do you think he goes, and is it for a first? Regarding Pickens, I think there's a chance with Pickens that we see, I don't know, man, like, with A.J. Brown going out, would the Eagles want Pickens? Would the Rams be a good fit for Pickens? They part with 13 tonight, and then Dallas has all the ammo they could ever ask for. Maybe that's something they look at. I don't know. It's a fascinating development this late, but I'm excited to see how that kind of shakes out. We should get a give me 1 second, guys. I got a volume thing I'm going to fix really quickly. Hold on. 30 seconds. All right, we're good. Okay. So, when we look at the top of this draft, I want to see if Peter Schrager has his mock, because the whole deal between the national media and the kind of team media insiders was, hey, the national insiders think that David Bailey's the pick at 2, and it seems like all of the local guys in New York think that it's going to be Arvell Reese. Right now, when we look, I want to see Schrager's. I'm going to pull it up here. Going to pull it up and add it. And so, yeah, Schrager and company have Bailey. Jeremiah Love has now become the extremely popular pick at 3. Styles at 4. As Reese going 5th, which is interesting. I think if Reese gets this far, the Chiefs are going to be interested. Fano seems to be kind of a consensus move for Cleveland. Carnell Tate, I've seen Styles there at 7 as well. I haven't seen Caleb Downs to the Saints. I think Caleb Downs is going 5th, if you ask me. Chiefs and Cowboys trade for Delane. That's something I could definitely see if Delane falls that far. Tyson at 10, Mawanoa, Ruben Bain in a move back. Lions and Rams make a trade. So I don't know. The idea of there being a lot of trades tonight, I keep going back and forth on it. I'm not sure if I buy that or not. But I'm fascinated to find out. So let's see here. Pittsburgh crowd and Roger Goodell looks like Hayward and TJ Watt are out there. That's fun. That's a cool thing to see there. Waving some terrible towels. I gotta say, it's probably a really, really great city to host, having gone there to see Pittsburgh and Green Bay play a Sunday night football game. I think that's got to be probably one of the best places you get to kind of walk around the city and be at the draft. So it sounds like Ian Rappaport, before they kind of right before it got to the top of the hour, he was saying, they're still not expecting a trade with George Pickens, but you never know. We didn't know. We had no idea that AJ Brown was going to get traded 4 years ago from the Titans to the Eagles. So I think a lot can change when certain scenarios pop up that maybe you weren't expecting. So I can't wait till we just kind of get this thing moving with Fernando Mendoza. So we can talk about Mendoza, which is always good. I love talking about Mendoza. But then we can then the real party starts at pick 2. So yeah, let's get to some questions. Here, I don't think we have a ton at the moment, but if a really good defensive tackle falls a bit into the second, Gannon being with us could make Goop pull the trigger, trading up some. Yeah, I understand that to a degree, but I don't know. I don't love the defensive tackles in this class that much. I know we've had some of that discussion of, let's go get one of those top 5 consensus defensive tackles. As far as the Packers go, I would just rather get Halton or Proctor. I prefer Proctor. I know Air says prefers Halton. That's fine. I think Proctor's ceiling's much higher. But again, I would chase the upfield burst. I wouldn't even bother with the McDonald's or the Lee Hunters, even the Christian Millers, right? Like, just go get just wait for the upfield burst. Caleb Banks would be an interesting one for sure. Love the idea of Styles at 2. Yeah, Styles would be fantastic. Okay, so we are in. The first pick is in. We knew this was going to be the case. The Raiders are selecting Fernando Mendoza. It's been on the ticker at the bottom, right? Like, that was very clearly going to be the case. I already typed it in, right? So we don't have to waste too much time here. We can get right to it. We can get to our media presentation station here and get to our guy Fernando Mendoza. Now, a couple things with Mendoza. Let's go through some of this here. And every time this does this, it's gonna be tricky. Okay, so Fernando Mendoza going to the Las Vegas Raiders. 6'4 3/4, 236. A lot bigger, than you might think when you watch him initially. Of like, yeah, he's tall. Maybe he's a little more lanky, but he's not. Doesn't seem as lanky as somebody like Goff. Obviously, a tremendous 2025, right? I think he had a pretty solid 2024 with Cal. 3,535 yards, 41 touchdowns, 6 picks, 10.78 air yards per attempt is outrageous. That is so good, especially going through the schedule. I mean, they played a tough Iowa defense. They play a really, really good Miami defense, a really, really good Ohio State defense. Still has 23 big-time throws, 12 turnover-worthy plays, almost 19% pressure to sack percentage. Not bad. And then a 9.8 yard average depth of target. When it comes to Mendoza, right, you look at accuracy and placement, right? It's not even that he has like the A+ arm per se. It's more of a B+ arm, right? It's sufficient. It's going to be probably more above average when you get to the NFL and he gets to play with his peers, right? And so I think when you look at, again, just there's so many opposite hash outbreakers that are 15, 20 yards down the field that he's hitting. The one against Oregon, super good. The whole shot against Iowa, just fabulous. He knows when to pull the trigger and when not to. Plays with good timing. Anticipation is definitely there. Obviously, the RPO scheme is something that maybe was a little more kind of conducive to success because they had the bodies up front to run. They could easily, the teams had to respect that. So you get those easy glance routes, right? Those little skinny posts behind the linebackers, and you get a lot of free stuff there. But really, in money downs, it was a lot of back shoulder throws. It was Again, those deep outbreakers, the middle of field stuff, all of it was there on third downs. And so that was extremely impressive, right? He navigates the pocket efficiently. I think, he's not as elastic or twitchy of a mover, but it's fine. And again, I think the robotic throwing motion is maybe kind of the biggest concern because he doesn't have the elasticity to maybe play too much off script. But again, he's so on script that it kind of really doesn't come up as much. He's obviously a good athlete, scrambler, right? He's got the clutch gene. And then obviously the poise and the toughness. He took that shot in the Ohio State game and came right back after a play. Took shots after shots in the Miami and Iowa games too. And so really, really good for Mendoza. Really impressed that he had this sort of rise. I think there was still some talk about him being a first-round pick even last May. So it's good to see him kind of pay that off there. So yeah, let's get to what's next here. I have some stuff for Mendoza, but obviously it sounds like we're moving right along here, which is great news. Has Ari got it? Okay, so it is true. The Jets are going to select David Bailey. It's not going to be Arvell Reese, which means, to me at least, I think that we're going to get, most likely, we're going to get maybe a Chiefs move up now. So I'm going to quickly adjust the ticker. So we've got David Bailey on there. Let's do this. Jets select David Bailey. I don't love it. And I think there's going to be a lot. It's going to be interesting tonight. I feel like tonight there's going to be a lot more. I feel like I'm usually more positive, especially when I started out doing this. I was very positive. It's like, oh yeah, all these picks are really good. I really like this player. I feel like I'm down on a lot more than usual this year, and I think this is kind of where it starts for me a little bit. But it is what it is. So let's go to David Bailey and so we have this running. We're good there. Okay. Let's talk about David Bailey to the Jets. Okay. So David Bailey, 6'3" and 5'8", 251, right? 33 and 3/4 inch arm length, the 9.66 RAS. Really, really impressive 2025, 81 pressures, 14.5 sacks, 19.5 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, 40 run stops in 2025, which I thought was a little surprising considering I thought the run defense stuff, especially against teams who were worth the darn that they played against, I thought he was pretty poor against the run. But it doesn't matter. That's not why they added him. They didn't add him because he's going to be down there, sitting down, extensions, shed. That's not what we're doing. This is the 21.3% pressure rate is outrageous as well. And then a 13 pass rush productivity. That's an insane number. We'll talk a lot about that number tomorrow when we have all the stats for all the rest of the rushers that go tomorrow. You look at the Barhams, the Josephs, Suttons. We'll talk a lot about that tomorrow night, but really strong numbers. Again, wicked first step explosiveness. Offensive linemen are terrified because of it. He dips and flattens around the arc, right? Just so winning on that outside track, he's turbocharged. Really good change of direction skills to counter and make plays against the run. I think that type of thing where it's like, okay, he's trying to attack inside and then they get a perimeter run, he can change direction and go chase that down. The pursuit is really good, so when he's on the backside, you're going to get good stuff from him there. He can win with the bull rush and the inside spin if he catches guys trying to really, really retreat and open their shoulders up to try to chase him around the arc. And he will take advantage of offensive linemen leaning that try to strike him early because he's got the length advantage, and that often, plays in his favor. Now, I do think he's got to capitalize on the explosiveness more. I think there are a lot of times where, these jab steps that he can throw in there, the inside moves, he's got to get to a better inside spin, I think, than he does. I think it has to be more consistent. He's got to be able to, get on the toes of the lineman, cross his face, obviously, use the hands to swipe and sort of, slap the shoulder of the offensive lineman to create pressure. So I feel like he's got to have a better plan of attack. Right, and again, against the run, there just really isn't a whole lot to write home about. But again, the Jets kind of is what it is, right? It's not my favorite thing. It's not what I would have done, but I know what they're chasing. And again, in terms of productivity, he was probably the best pass rusher. Juice's what's going on says, yeah, no projection necessary, at least from a pass rush perspective. Yeah, just let Bailey go, like you say here. So yeah, I think that's really what it is for David Bailey. Again, it's just not my favorite. I like Bain a little bit better, right? I don't know. Lawrence might be a little bit more partial to Lawrence than Bailey, but again, I understand the process here. It's one of those things where, it's what are we chasing in this draft? What as an organization do the Jets just not have right now, right? They obviously moved from Quinnen Williams. They get rid of him. They trade him to Dallas. They're trading Sauce Gardner. They traded Jermaine Johnson. They really didn't want him. And I don't think Jermaine Johnson wasn't productive enough to be, a number one edge rusher. Now, I think Bailey and Will McDonald, that's pretty light on the edges, and they got Osai in there. So it's a little bit light on the edges right now, but they certainly have the juice to go get quarterbacks, especially because Will McDonald is, I think, such a flexible, good plan of attack mover on top of it, as a pass rusher. But yeah, it's not my favorite, but I understand it. Do I think Arizona will trade? I don't know. They might stick and pick Jeremiah Love. Like, it really might be that simple. That the Cardinals and Bidwell wants, he wants to sell jerseys, right? He wants to sell jerseys, even though McBride and Harrison are there and Budda Baker's there. Obviously, he's not new, so you can't sell more Budda Baker jerseys unless you make new uniforms, But I have a feeling it's Jeremiah Love, and I don't love that for them. I think they've done enough to address running back. I'm just not sure why they're doing it here. I don't know. I think Adam, I'm with you. I'm not sure. I just don't know. I think I like what they did last year a lot better so far, right? Getting Membu at 7, really, really nice pick for them. So I do think like that's okay. Yep. So oh my gosh. Okay. They actually did it. The Arizona Cardinals did this. Oh my gosh. You're not serious. I mean, this was the talk. So now these sort of late. Now we're getting. The Bailey thing wasn't as late necessarily, right? But the Bailey thing was just contested more so between reporters. The Cardinals are in fact taking Jeremiah Love here at number 3. So Jeremiah Love goes. I didn't think Reese would get past 3. So now it gets interesting a little bit, but man, I mean, oh jeez. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is absolutely think for yourself, make your own process, see what works with your process, and try to tune it from there. If you just follow the crowd a lot and you just kind of pace those rankings with it, you're not going to learn a whole lot because you haven't done the studies yourself, what's working, what's not. And I think listen to people who are really detailed as well. The Miami offensive tackle would have been interesting for that, but man, the Cardinals are a running back with no QB. Not that there's a QB to take here for them, but they did do it. So fascinating. Let's talk about him. Let's get the graphic up for Jeremiah Love. I've got some production comp stuff for him against fellow high draft picks, so we'll get to that for sure. But let's talk about Jeremiah Love first. Let's get to our presentation here for Jeremiah Love here to the Cardinals. Yeah, I don't know. Now it'll be interesting to see what the Titans do, if they just take one of the Ohio State linebackers or they pivot to Carnell Tate, right? They could take any Ohio State guy pretty much. But okay, so Jeremiah Love to the Arizona Cardinals. Let's talk about this. 6 foot and a quarter, 212, runs the 4.36. He has the field tilting acceleration and speed. He was a high school sprinter. I think he might have been a state champion sprinter if I'm not mistaken. He turns any crease and open lane into a house call at times. There are just it just looks really easy for him as a mover in space, right? He maintains the speed on the curvilinear track, right? He can maintain speed out of the spin moves that he generates. There's a couple. There's one against Pitt where he is, the guy is filling towards kind of the A gap, and Jeremiah Love just spins out of it and reaccelerates easily and then goes and finishes it. There's a really, really efficient spin and tight spin he has against Miami, where he's kind of, pushing towards the sideline as he strings the run out. Like, there's just, his cuts are so quick. And again, the ability for him to accelerate so quickly out of making a cut or transitioning, to north-south from east-west, right? All of that is really good. Does a good job staggering the stride to set up and deliver blocks. There's some really good stuff. The Syracuse game is a really good one where he, on a zone read, stays tight to the line right behind his tackle so the guy surfing, right, the edge rusher who's kind of trying to play between both the QB and the running back, he can't get back into him, so he stays tight. So there are just high-level things like that. He makes defenders miss in condensed areas. Right, we talked about the patience. I think the contact balance is extremely good, especially for how upright of a runner is, how tall and lanky he is as a runner. Right, he's not this short, compact guy like a Genty. Right, Genty's got the more bowling ball build. Love doesn't have that. He's more stringy, upright, and his ability to stay on his feet when he's contacted around, the middle of his leg or his hip, like the Penn State run where he gets contacted, pretty low. He stays upright, and this was with a knee brace on too, and he's finishing runs behind his pads, right? So he does take dirty yards, right? Some that are given to him. He's scratching the surface as a receiver on top of it, and so maybe that's where they think this value is. I think he has great hands. He beat Keontae Scott on a sail route earlier this year. He did a great work through contact on an intermediate route against Arkansas. He needs to work on pass pro, there's no question, and he's a little too reliant on maybe the athletic gifts and speed, where there are times where he just believes he can go turn the corner and doesn't stay within the tackles and doesn't stay patient. So there is a little bit of that, but I do think he is close to, or at least, on the level of even your Gibbs, but I think he's pretty close if we're talking about him versus, Bijan, and him versus Genty. We're going to try and get this up. I'm sure the next one's coming in. It's been fast and furious, which is totally fine. But I wanted to get this up here because I think it's a really nice little look at what Jeremiah Love does versus other running back prospects. So we're looking at missed tackle force percentage here. We're looking at yards after contact per attempt and yards per route run. How effective are you as a receiver? So you look at Jeremiah Love, Genty, Irving, Bijan, Gibbs, Hall, Walker, right? You look at all these numbers across the board, and there's a handful of guys that have crossed the 4 yards after contact per attempt number. That's Love, Genty, Bijan, Walker, Etienne, or Etienne, as he wants to say, Javonte, Jonathan Taylor, and then Josh Jacobs in recent years. So he clears that number. He's got the same yards per route run as Genty does. Doesn't quite get to Gibbs, right? Gibbs, Jacobs, McCaffrey, and Kamara as terms of yards per route run. But I think really his numbers look just strong across the board. He's one of 6 guys on this list, or 7 guys on this list, to be over a 30% missed tackle force percentage. So I think it's just strong across the board. When you look at Jeremiah Love versus other running back prospects, either from a film perspective or a metrics perspective, I think either way it's okay. So they did pivot, and this was something that was very possible as well. The Titans have selected Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. So there you go. We're moving right along here. And it just, Styles and Reese are falling officially now. I think, Reese for sure. Styles maybe not as much. But Carnell Tate going to the Titans, I think this one's a strong process as well, honestly. I like this. I think Tate's very, very good. I don't think he's quite, to me, on the level of Downs, Reese, and Styles as prospects. Even Ioane, I think Ioane is extremely good at the top of this draft. So, and Bain too. I think Bain's really, really impressive. But again, he's the outlier. It's not going to be somebody that teams are going to be chomping at the bit to pick. No trade at 4. So far, no trades. Really, Cleveland's kind of that point where we might see one. If we see one in the top 10, maybe we'll see one at 9 for the Chiefs. Those are kind of the spots. I know Washington at 7, but if they really like a player like Styles or Tyson or somebody like that, they're probably going to stick and pick as well. So this one's interesting. Drew doesn't like this one at all, but let's talk about this one. We are going to get this up and talk about Carnell Tate. I don't have him pulled up yet. Hang on. Okay. And bam. All right. So Carnell Tate to the Tennessee Titans, 6'2", and an eighth, not 5'11" and a quarter. Really nice there. 6'2" and an eighth. Look at the number on the left. Don't worry about the percent in the parentheses there. He's 6'2" and a quarter, or 6'2" and an eighth, I mean, and 192 pounds. Right, ran the 4.53, so that's maybe not as exciting. 3 yards per route run in 2025, 875 yards, 9 touchdowns. I think with Carnell Tate, he's smooth, he's efficient, right? He's kind of the glider out there when you watch him. You know, he is an excellent deep threat. And you may be asking, Jake, how? How does that make any sense? How is he an elite deep threat? He ran a 4.53. Well, just because you run the 4.53 doesn't mean you don't have speed and can't win down the field, right? Speed doesn't necessarily equal great deep threat. So I think I'll put this out there. I think the 3 best players are still on the board, 0, 8, and 2 from Ohio State. But yeah, I think the way that he glides, he eats up cushion really nicely, and when, you know, what he does. He gets on the toes of the corners, right? He gets right up to them, throws the jab step in there, attacks a little bit of leverage late, right? And then is able to swipe effectively through that contact and stack and win uncover late down the field. That's what he's really, really good at. The in and out breaking routes are efficient. He gets good drive steps to flatten the break, especially on the in breakers when he's running dig routes. The out breaking stuff, I think he just does a good job of pressuring vertically, right? Getting out of that break, drop the weight, right, and work through a little stem contact at the top, but I think he's really good there. You know, I think he's a tremendous catch point receiver, right? I think when you look at, you know, what he does at the catch point, what he does at the sideline, he's so smooth. One, when he attacks the catch point, he is coming up with the hands together. He's not clapping, right? We're going to talk about somebody later who claps, but you watch him rise to the football and the hands are together where they need to be. The technique is good. Incredible body control near the sideline, as I mentioned. Toe taps all the time. He keeps himself upright on throws that might be a little off target around that area. Right, high point ability through contact. He goes and gets the football. Again, we talked about concentration. We talked about the technique. Very, 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 very similar to a Jordy Nelson. I think somebody pointed this out to me, and I can't unsee it now. Carnell Tate is Jordy Nelson. I feel like that's a really, really good comp. Now, maybe you say that's not a player you take it for, and I would tend to agree with that for sure. But again, I think he's light on his feet at the line of scrimmage with his release work. It allows him to quickly accelerate, get into the stem, right? Get defensive backs on their heels really quickly, right? So that I think he does a really good job with. You know, I think he can adjust his route mid-stem. There's a really good rep. I think either Washington or Wisconsin. Oh, no, maybe it was Penn State where, you know, he's working outside with his release and he kind of has to hop step to readjust to get back inside to win the dig. That because he's so light on his feet, he can make those adjustments mid-route, which I think is very, very key and an underappreciated part of playing receiver in this league, right? So, okay. We'll get to that. We'll get to that trade here in a second. Let's see. I was talking about flash of short area acceleration that maybe can lend itself to yak prowess in the future. But a couple things that Tate doesn't do really well: early stem contact, right, can disrupt his route if he doesn't combat press effectively. That happened in the Miami game. That happens a little bit in the Penn State game. You see it in Notre Dame game a little bit too last year. And then I think instinctual processing of space to be effective post catch. There's times where he has space to the outside and he wants to cut it back in. There's times where I just don't think he's seeing the field super effectively when he transitions into a runner. But still, I think Carnell Tate, that, you know, giving Cam Ward something. I think is extremely important. So, oh, wow. Okay. So the Chiefs traded up with Cleveland. The Giants, we got to catch up now. I cannot drone on about Arvell Reese. Okay. The Giants selected Arvell Reese. Let's get to that very quickly. We'll get to the Chiefs trade right after that. Okay, come on, buddy. And here we go. Okay. So the Giants are selecting Arvell Reese at 5. And I think with him, there's so much that I think is untapped in terms of potential. So the Chiefs might have moved up to get Downs or Styles then. Or they're trying to get a second receiver and they're not going to wait for Washington. That might be the other possibility. If the Chiefs are moving up there, if they want Tyson, they got to go get him. I think Washington might take him, but we'll see. I'm sure you guys in the comments will let me know if you guys are looking on Twitter. But anyway, Giants are selecting Arvell Reese. Let's talk about Arvell Reese. 6'4" and an eighth, 241, 32.5 inch arm length, 4.46 40, which is in the 99th percentile if you look at him as a linebacker. Linebacker or edge rusher? How about both? I think he should play both. I think the Giants are probably going to play him at linebacker and give him some sub-package rush stuff because when you think about it, they have Carter, Burns, and Thibodeaux. Thibodeaux will probably be traded this weekend or very soon. But even still, right? So when you look at what he does, elite of elite athlete at the position, the short area acceleration, the stop-start quicks, the range, the flexibility when he changes direction, all of that is extremely, extremely impressive, right? He thrives in the collision world. He takes on O-line. You know, the O-line are working to the second level. He stops them in their tracks because the strike timing, the hand placement, and the balance and the pad level at contact is also extremely impressive for him. You know, he doesn't give up ground. He stops those linemen in their tracks when they're approaching him as they work to the second level. He can keep his arm free. He can shed those blocks to make plays, you know, well against the run. And I think he has, you know, block deconstruction just isn't stacking and shedding, right? Where you engage and then you work to shed. Block deconstruction can be dipping around blocks, you know, throwing the jab step in there to get around them and create a path for yourself to the football. He does all of that really well. On top of it, he's probably one of the best tacklers I've ever seen. He explodes on contact, low to high. He strikes in the right spot. You know, there's a really good play against Texas, I believe, where he's dipping under a would-be blocker and then exploding into contact as a tackler. Extremely impressive stuff there. So, and then I think he's an architect of flat destruction is what I would call him. He closes in a hurry out there. His recognition and processing is really good out there. And he can shut down the quick game, the screen game in an instant. His recognition, I mentioned right there at the bottom, and processing near the line of scrimmage, exceptional. And I think as a pass rusher, right, he told Ben Solak this a week or two ago that he was kind of rushing the passer on vibes. And his ability to turn explosion into power and kind of throw some tackles aside was really impressive. And then there's a chop rip that he did against Penn State that was good. And so I think that he's just scratching the surface there, but I do think comfort and coverage needs work, right? He's still kind of a spot drop guy. He can get to a landmark, but you know, working off of getting back off of play action or kind of adjusting yourself, feeling out where the pass catchers are moving and rotating. He's still a little bit static. He doesn't really have that feel yet, but I do think that we're just scratching the surface. Reese is going to be extremely exceptional. So really love that for the Giants. A fantastic start. Let's get to the Chiefs. So here we go. Let's get this on the screen. Good. We're moving. Okay, full trade here. So the Browns move back from we mentioned this. Browns were going to potentially move back. And the Chiefs are going to be the team to come up. So the Browns get 74 and 148 to move back. Cleveland doesn't get maybe their top target. I think once Carnell Tate goes, they go, okay, we can get any O-lineman we want, most likely at 9 anyway, and pick up a couple extra picks in the process. Chiefs thinking we still have 29 and 40. We're still in good shape there to attack later in this draft. So, again, Cleveland doing what they do. They get extra picks. That's something that is not surprising for them. For edge rushers for the Giants. No, I think that the Giants are going to play Reese at linebacker, that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see play linebacker and then drop down to the line of scrimmage at times, you know, to help set the edge, to help, you know, just destroy people up there. That's what I want to see from Arvell Reese. But I do understand some of that. Okay. Interesting. The Chiefs did not select Sonny Styles. The Chiefs have, in fact, selected Mansour Delane after moving up from 9 to 6. So we will get right on that in a second, because that was not something I was expecting to go down. So I can't tell you how upset I am that there's a dog that will literally not stop barking above me. I'm losing my mind from it. Anyway, probably means Washington was going to be picking Delane at 7, and the Chiefs saw an opportunity, right? I think that's kind of, I think, what we're looking at here. So Mansour Delane, let's talk about him as soon as I can here. We get that presentation thing up, and we go. You can't hear it. That's good. That's at least good. I can. I definitely can hear it. Okay, it's probably because I'm so close to the mic. Hopefully the mic settings are a little bit better. The dog is upset. Yeah, the dog cannot believe that Sonny Styles is still on the board. They're just shouting at teams to just go get him. Go get that man. Dallas might go get him. Maybe Dallas will be that team. But okay, so the Chiefs land Mansour Delane. I did not put that in the ticker. Let me do that really fast here so we have it in there, and bam. Okay, so when it comes to Mansour Delane, right, I think this was kind of the guy that was, I think at least, pegged as somebody who was going to be a big riser in 2025, right? He's coming over from Virginia Tech to LSU, thinking, okay, great, like, let's see what he can do in the SEC. Maybe he takes a leap, and he most certainly did take the leap. I think 6'0", 187, right? Runs the 4.38, by the way, late in the process to kind of maybe, dispel the concerns about maybe the long speed, the recovery speed. In his career, we're looking at 8 interceptions, 27 pass breakups, just a 10.6% missed tackle rate, 47 run stops, just a 69.6 passer rating allowed in coverage. I think when you look at the opener this past fall, Clemson, they test him in the opener. He absolutely crushed them. And anytime they threw his way, it was essentially just a pass breakup, or the ball was sailed, maybe because Klubnik knew Delane was already in position to go make a play on the football. So I think the change of direction, fluidity, and coverage is good. It maybe isn't elite, but I think it's good enough where you can survive with him in zone coverage or man coverage on the boundary, right? I think he can be physical if you want him to be up near the line of scrimmage, which is maybe something that Spags might ask him to do if they're going to get in some blitz looks. But also, again, I think he can be patient off the line, right? He doesn't have to, initiate contact, then turn and run. He can match. He'll stay patient. He'll wait for the receiver to be decisive, and then he'll go trail them, right? And I think he can flip the hips really well, right? He's got good versatility in coverage. We kind of mentioned that, right? Man in zone coverage, I don't think he's going to be out of place. But what he does, where he thrives, is in zone coverage, forcing turndowns, right? Out of bunch looks. There's times he's shutting down flood concepts where he's like covering the flat, but then he turns down the sail route, and quarterback's got nowhere to go. He's going to maybe go back to the flat, but then Delane gets back to the flat, and he's just kind of reading it out at the same time that the quarterback is reading things out. And so being able to force those turn downs is, I think, just as important as being able to break up passes when the ball is thrown your way, right? So why that often lends itself to the question of, right, why are these maybe elite corners not getting targeted as much? It's because they're forcing turn down windows, right? So he can eliminate multiple routes. We talked about the flood concepts. Stays in phase pretty well down the field. I think there was maybe, again, some concerns about the recovery speed, but maybe kind of push those aside a little bit in terms of that. So I think again, I think the reaction timing is good. He can click and close pretty well. He's a reliable tackler in space. But again, the capped athleticism, right? I don't think there's the level of twitch and elite explosion and all of that to go make him say like, oh yeah, I can be, tip top Stingley, Surtain type of player. He just might be in that next tier down, but that's usually good enough as a number one corner, because you're not going to find those Surtains, the Stingleys, right? They don't come around very often. So a player like Delane, I think still in that next tier down, is really impressive. Okay. Drew is saying that Sonny Styles is going to Washington. And that is true. The Commanders have, in fact, selected Sonny Styles, which I think is the right thing to do. Going to have to happen eventually. It'll be interesting to see where Ruben Bain falls now. I feel like that's a Baltimore right in their lap type of thing going forward here. So thinking Washington will not trade with Dallas. I don't think that's necessarily the case, right? I think, you look back at the in-division trades we've seen in the last 5 years. You've seen Philly and Dallas swap right when they, for the Parsons Devontae Smith from 12 to 10, right? You've seen Minnesota and Detroit, that big trade up, that involved the Lions going to get Jamison Williams. That was a 5-pick trade in there, right? So I think it was like 12 and 44 for like 32, 34, and 66, something like that. So there are in-division trades. But again, if you're Washington and you want Styles, why would you bother, right? If this is one of your last like blue chippers here, I think it makes sense. So yeah, so Washington gets Sonny Styles. Let's update this once again here. I think that's the right pick. Him or Downs. I think you couldn't go wrong. But let's talk about Sonny Styles to Washington, because again, just one of my favorite players to talk about. And I know we get maybe sick of talking about, the best of the best in class, but I think it's really fun to talk about how truly good he can be. Two people thinking Bain has to go to New Orleans. I don't know. I think New Orleans could go Tyson. But let's talk about Sonny Styles really quick, okay? So I know there's been some takes out there, right? About, oh, hey, now everybody likes Sonny Styles because his testing was, off the charts. Hey, guys, if you want receipts, I put the video out on this channel. Sonny Styles might be the best 2026 NFL draft prospect. That was early February, well before the combine. So there were people well on this early. And he's game-changing. He can do it all. Maybe he can't rush the passer at a high level, but again, you don't have to enter him into a mug and drop world, right? Where you for those who don't know, that you walk the linebackers up, they're in the A gaps, right, either side of the center. And then you get into a defense where, are we dropping? Are we blitzing? Right? All of that. And so some of the linebackers are better at that. Edgerrin Cooper, Green Bay, good example of a guy who is really good at the mug and drop stuff because of the athleticism and straight line speed, and maybe not a guy who works through and sifts through the trash and works over the gaps to defend the run, right? But Styles is that guy. Okay? Recognition skills, communication skills, execution skills, okay? And I mean executing the play call, right? For those who, don't get crazy. Okay. Now, he almost single-handedly wrecked Indiana's game and almost single-handedly led the Buckeyes to a win where their offense couldn't do diddly, right? So downhill in the run game, what it looks like, he takes on blocks with great balance, strike timing, leverage, right? We talk about block deconstruction with Reese. We talk about block deconstruction with Styles, right? He can dip around. There's a really good play against Michigan where I was kind of talking about this with Reese, but it's really Styles who did this, where, offensive linemen, they're in zone. Everybody's moving up to the second level, and this guard's looking to pick somebody off, and Styles jab steps his way towards the sideline to keep him moving that direction, and then cuts back inside, knifes through that gap, and then goes and makes the play in the backfield. So I think dipping around blocks, shedding blocks, either way, he's really, really good at it. Okay. He can work across gaps to make plays against the run. There are some great plays where he is, in the right spot. The running back makes a last second change to kind of cut back, and Styles just meets him across as he works past, again, a lot of the collisions and offensive line, all the battle in the trenches. He just works across it so well and keeps himself clean to make plays like that. Again, I think he's a reliable tackler. He's maybe not the explosive guy into contact that Reese is, but he's just so darn reliable there. Elite athleticism and range, right? There are times where he's backside linebacker on the play and he's working all the way across the field to go make plays against the run. He works to the flat quickly. Core to sideline range is really good. And then the coverage skills, right? They're elite, okay? This is the range. This is route combination processing, communication to pass off routes, right? Like Illinois runs a Y cross where the slot receiver's running all the way across the field. Styles recognizes, okay, nobody else coming into my area. There's not a check down in my area. I'm going to take that guy, and he runs with the receiver, no problem, right? So the ability he's going to be able to run, he's going to be able to run the pole, right? When you get Tampa looks as drop way back as a linebacker, he's going to be able to run across on mesh if you want him in man coverage. He's going to be able to pass things off so well. Really, I think if you want him to maybe play a little more violent, intend to destroy a little bit more like Reese does, that's fine. But I think he's as good as there is in this class. And it sounds like the Saints did what I expected them to do at 8 and taken the receiver, perhaps. I haven't seen it yet, though. It does seem like we're getting to a point where, I mean, it was out there, right? I think, and yeah, Drew, I think it is safe to say it at this point. It was out there of like, hey, this is I think, first percentile. I'm going to bring his mock draftable up when he gets picked because he will get picked tonight. But we'll bring up his mock draftable and you'll see like the arm length and all of that, the hand size, I think, as well, where it's just like it's an outlier. Him and Cassius Howell at edge rusher. Mesidor's arms aren't that long either. So there are a lot of those guys in this draft class where, that's kind of who they are. So, yeah. So 3rd and 5th rounders to go get Delane. And again, it's we're having, Cleveland, Garrett, and Bain. That's interesting. Gosh, Twitter's so dumb. It's not sorting by recent tweets, so I'm not getting the popular tweets. I don't want the popular tweets. I would like the most recent. But yeah, I think that's it, right? It's can you find a way through contact when your initial move doesn't work? That's where the lack of arm length can come into play, right? Where it's like, okay, I can't get off this block because I don't have any reach to find a way out of this scenario. And he does get swallowed up by contact a decent bit. Bain does in both phases of the game. He's just more apt to be able to, I think, find a way out of it against the run because he plays with better leverage, right? And he's not on the move and he's not, trying to do everything he can to create pressure. It's more of like sit, okay, I have kind of the upper hand, right? I'm kind of holding the point and I can play off of that more so than countering as a rusher. And because when you sit and extend, right, when you're Ruben Bain, you sit and extend and you got the arm out this way towards contact, you get that extra bit of width from the shoulder as an extension of your arm length, right? Which doesn't count when they measure it, but you get an extension of that and it gives you a little bit more room to operate. So that's why I think it's maybe again just a little more difficult for Bain. So okay, now I see Jordan Tyson. I don't know why I'm not picking these up, but okay. That was a long time ago. Okay, and the Browns are on too. Okay, we need to catch up. Sounds good. Let's do it. Saints are selecting Jordan Tyson. See, I told you, Twitter stinks. Let's get to Jordan Tyson. I don't want to share screen here. I want to share it here. And bang. Okay. So Jordan Tyson to the Saints. They're looking for an alpha, this might be that guy. 6'1 3/4, 203. A little bit of a down year in 25. Injuries, bad QB play. Some lingering stuff there. But he had 75 for 1,101 and 10 in 2024. 2.37 yards per run, 25. That's still a really good number. I think Jordan Tyson's a true hooper in every sense as a route runner, right? It's changing speeds, vary the tempo off the line, right? Whether or not he's winning a slant route or, he's working, to set up wins down the field. I think he changes speeds and reaccelerates really nicely to do that and win on the go walls and the fade routes, right? He changes up, as I said, that tempo. He varies the release, right? He'll throw 2 or 3 steps in there, but he's such a sharp cutter on top of it. The rocker steps are really effective when utilized correctly. The stair steps on the crossers where you're working across the field and you just get a little bit of that 2-step vertical pressure to get cornerbacks on their heels, and then you're able to keep going, and that's finding ways to generate extra separation when he can, right? He's extremely sharp on the slant route. We talked about that. When he's working, to attack leverage and win on outbreakers, he's really sharp there. Right, just those drive steps are excellent, and when he, I think he got better at the catch point in 2025. There was a lot of him retreating and not getting the hands up in the right spot and trying to pin it to his body when he was, in a more contested spot in 24. But I think in 25, you saw him jump up and through, high point it a little bit better, right, and then, I think track it even better. I think he tracked the ball over the shoulder really nicely in 25. I think he's really composed in the air. He works back to the football, keeps himself in play by the sideline, right? He squares himself up to attack after the catch. Now, I do think that the yards after the catch work isn't that impressive, right? He's trying to do too much. I don't think he sees the field, so it's a little like Carnell Tate in that regard. But again, he's the hooper. He just has to make sure he's not off rhythm like some of these guys like Mitchell and Garrett Wilson and Judy especially, who did a lot of these moves at the line of scrimmage, but then were either late or too early in the separation or too late at the route break. So there is some of that to his game. He has to kind of, work on that a little bit. But again, overall, I would rather have the sharper movers than the guys who can't do that. Now, Brown, Spencer Fano, let's do this really fast so we can catch up here. If I were the Giants, I would take Ioane or Downs. At that spot. Let's get to... Ooh, nope. Had it for a second. Okay, apparently it's an entire screen now. Okay, so Browns get Spencer Fano, and we will update the ticker as we're going here. So it's, Spencer Fano, 6'5" and 5'8", 311, right? He is... got 32 and an 1/8 inch arm length. He's got a 9.8 RAS, really strong numbers, in the terms of the testing. I'm not super high on Spencer Fano. I don't know if he can hang at tackle. That's going to be the question for him, in Cleveland. And Cleveland's going to make him the left tackle, which he really hasn't played too much in his career. So that'll be something interesting as well. He's got change of direction quicks. He can redirect with ease in pass pro. He's going to be able to recover with his footwork. Explosive out of his stance. He's got the burst, flexibility to reach block, combo block, get to the second level, pull in the run game. All of that is really impressive. Right, when he lands a good strike, his grip strength is really excellent, and he maintains good control. He definitely has that go-to like flash technique where you throw that hand out there, see if you get someone to bite, and then you kind of strike to get good control, throw them a little off balance. But he's often striking second, even when he does that flash technique. And so when you strike second, you could lose the leverage battle. The rushers probably has a better chance of being able to counter against you, right, if they've got you in tight by the armpits. And so, I think that, he just doesn't have that next level length, as a tackle to be able to handle that. And so that also shows up when he's maybe a little out of position. He's got the hands high and he's trying to replace down low to regain some better leverage. That shows up a little bit as well, where guys are able to counter before he can replace the hands. He runs guys up the arc maybe a little bit too much, and I don't know if he has the strength to roll through D linemen in the run game, and that might be an issue where you get to that point and you go, okay, well, maybe he can't play guard, so I guess he's going to try to play tackle, but I don't know if the tackle film's like excellent, but I think it's passable. It's passable more so than this next guy who we're going to talk about, because I have some questions about this. I think the Giants should have taken just either of the two guys who I think were way better. Were way better players in my opinion. But it is what it is. I think the Giants had a real chance to clean up. They had a chance to get Reese and Downs, or Reese and Ioane. Instead, they take Mauanoa, who I don't know. I'm just not as big on Mauanoa as a player. I like other tackles more than him. I have a lot of questions. Boy, I can't tell you how concerned I was after watching him, of like, whoa, this is, because it's different, right? You go into this draft class, right? I write up the wide receivers a bunch, so I'm in on that really quickly. But then you kind of circle back, because for the Packers, right, you're looking at all these other guys second, third round, right? So you look at all those players, and they're all right. I better circle back to some of these positions in the first. And I went and looked at Mauanoa, and I'm like, man, this is rough. But let's get to it, right? We got to talk about it. Might as well do it now. Okay, so Francis Mauanoa for the Giants here, 6'5" and 5'8", 3-year starter. He's 329, 33 and a quarter inch arm length, 875 RAS. Now, the good. What's good about the Mauanoa selection? I think the initial explosion is there as a mover, right? He faced some speedy rushers this year, most notably Cassius Howell from Texas A&M, right? So he's getting to the landmarks quickly. He knows he has to get out there really quickly, right? And so he's ready off the ball. He explodes off of it. He gets to the landmark, as I said, and he can fire off the ball as a run blocker too. So both phases, you see that level of initial explosion that gets you excited, right? He has the anchor to halt the bull rush, and this is where maybe he has a better transition. He has better transition potential to guard than maybe Fano does, is because the anchor really is there with him. Whereas for Fano, he feels more like a Zach Tom, right? Of like, okay, this is just probably where I'm going to be. I'm going to be out, playing tackle, where Mauanoa has that anchor, right? And when he strikes square, he is devastating on combo blocks. He will uproot defensive linemen, drive them 4 or 5 yards down the field, put them on the ground, right? With these combo blocks with, I believe, his teammate Inez Cooper, right? Those two, when they comboed effectively, were devastating, which was awesome to watch. Like Fano, and like a lot of these tackles coming out of school, he strikes second a ton. And a lot of his struggles, he dips his head a ton at contact, which means when he's dipping his head, he's scrunched up. He can't see. He doesn't have good extension. He's not keeping guys away from his frame. He also gets a narrow base, right? There's a rep where Cassius Howell runs up the arc, jab steps, gets him to kind of flinch a little bit. And when he does that, he's all scrunched up. Then he's got the narrow base, and Howell runs through him with a bull rush. And when he gets narrow, right, which I think it says it here somewhere, narrow base. Oh, no, maybe not. But when he gets that narrow base, he sometimes gets struck with the feet up in the air. And that's a terrible position to be in. He lacks a lot of knee bend, and I think that's where he loses a little bit, trying one-on-ones to push people off the ball in the run game. His shoulders don't stay very square. I don't think the redirect quicks are very good at all. And again, here we go. Fall off a lot of 1v1 blocks where he needs to sustain and drive. I just really didn't like him that much. I really don't understand this one. It's good that I would have lost it probably if the Cardinals took him at 3. I just wasn't in on him. I think there are better players. So how about our friends at Miami South? What are we rolling with here? Yeah, the Giants do at least need guard as well. And so that opportunity is there. And that's why I think, okay, we can live with that. They took Reese. I just think I would rather have had, again, Ioane. Even just, I know he's a good guard. I know he's a tremendous football player. Like I don't really have any questions of his. I think that's as good a protection for Jackson Dart as you're going to get. And they didn't want him. They wanted somebody else. And again, I think Downs and Reese playing together again would have been exceptional. So they probably took him to play offensive tackle. I think it's not going to go well in year one. I think there are a lot of things to clean up. Maybe he cleans up some of this and it gets better. But I was surprised at how, honestly, just surprised at how disappointed I was with Mawanoa's film relative to others. Okay, well, we have a trade. Miami South has decided that they're going to move down just a little bit. And the Cowboys are now on the clock at 11. So fascinating there. Let me make sure we're up to speed. We are up to speed on the ticker. That's good. So yeah, I mean, Dallas moving up here, this has got to be for Downs. It's got to be for Downs. It's who they wanted. That was one of the guys they wanted. Has to be what it is. Juice is asking, Mawanoa play guard in New York, or do you kick Illuminor inside? I have to imagine if you take Mawanoa at 10, that you're going to try him at right tackle. I would think. But I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance by mid-season that they flip back and they go, okay, we got to try Mawanoa at guard. This isn't going very well. But yeah, Juice, we had it. We said we were good. We had it last night. Ioane at 10. I thought it was all set up there. They took the defensive player at 5. It looked like that was going to be it. And now it's your guys on the clock, Juice, Dallas. Okay, so Miami's in full rebuild with all their picks, and they are moving back. I will say, don't forget, remember Goody's first draft, he moved back from 14 to 27, and then came back up to 18. Maybe John Eric Sullivan just was like, I'll get an extra swing, which they have to. They're in full rebuild mode anyway. Let me get an extra swing, maybe a 4th or something, or a 5th or whatever, and we can move back because we're not all that concerned about, style or Caleb Downs being there. Yeah. Yeah, and the Dallas pick is going to be Caleb Downs. Not shocking at all. That it should have been Caleb Downs. Dallas gets Caleb Downs for Christian Parker defense. How could you not be pleased about that? It'd be even crazier for Dallas is if they come up to get Bain now. You come up to get Bain, maybe with Baltimore's pick from 20, and they say, you know what, let's just do that. So it is going to be the pick. Can confirm. I'll show it on the screen here really quickly. Jerry Jones and company get their guy. Drew says, I hope they pick up a pick next year. Well, maybe that's possible. That's possible. I thought Downs was going to it sounded like Downs was going to be the pick at 5 for the last 24 hours, 36 hours. And so again, we've had some conflicting info about what has been the case. It did seem like, though, these last 72 hours that the growing indication is that Tennessee was going to pass on Styles. I didn't know if they were going to pass on Reese, but they obviously ended up doing that. So again, that's all right. We don't need these guys all the way up there. Cowboys do need to be up there, though. That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool for Dallas to get a player of that caliber. But yeah, let's talk about Caleb Downs. I mean, how can you not be excited to talk about Caleb Downs, So let's do that right now. Yeah, this is why we love the draft, right? It's unpredictable. Truly unpredictable stuff. And I think that's what's, again, just probably the most exciting part. So, all right, let's get that off the screen so we can see all of this. Caleb Downs, 5'11 3/4, 206, 30 and a quarter charm length, no completed testing for him. I think this is it. This is the next superstar. This is the next, hey, wow, he's as good as Hamilton. Obviously doesn't have the build of a Kyle Hamilton, right? But that's okay. I think he's exactly what this age of defense needs. Downs, again, I think if I'm looking through my rankings, it's Styles, Downs, Reese, Love, Bain. No, Love, Ioane, Bain, Mendoza is my order. So I can't get over how good this is for Dallas. He's alignment versatile. He played single high stuff at Alabama as a freshman. He started in a Nick Saban defense as a freshman. That hadn't happened really since Minkah Fitzpatrick all those years ago. Yeah, great box defender, good in man coverage against tight ends. He can be the robber, in a cover one look where he's roaming the middle of the field. Steelers are trading up. That's going to be Lemon or Ioane. We'll get to that. Steelers had a lot of picks. That made sense. I actually think my final mock, I might have submitted. Oh, it might have had the Steelers moving up for him. That's exciting. Because, they get ahead of the Jets. But anyway, really quickly here, obviously, as a robber, roaming the middle of the field in coverage in the deep half, right? If you're in too high, which I think a lot of the Dallas defense is going to be. Christian Parker, right? They're going to be a lot of quarters. He'll be your third safety or nickel, right? So he's fluid in transition, really, really fluid in transition. There are times where he's, able to just flip the hips, accelerate quickly. All of that is just really, really impressive when you're moving on kind of a chessboard, right? You can move in so many different directions. Just the ability to maintain balance and re-accelerate, not lose a lot of speed, not waste movement. So good. Stop-start quickness is incredible. He's excellent closing burst and trigger from depth. Even from the slot when he's playing in there, he closes extremely, extremely quickly. The coverage skills are elite. He matches tight ends, no problem. A great tackler when he's matching them at the catch point. He can be disruptive at the catch point. The concept recognition is so good. Again, the robber coverage, he roams the middle of the field so nicely, and then he can be in that kind of Tampa look as the third safety. He did that to seal the deal against Texas last year in the semifinal to go to the national championship game. That was kind of the sealing play. He picked off the pass on the dagger concept. He was in that kind of Tampa spot and was right where he needed to be. He leaves assignments when reading the QB to make plays at the catch point. That's understandable, right? You're reading the quarterback's eyes. You're reading what's happening on the play. I think this is a big one, right, with bunch looks and mesh, right, where guys are running, crossing each other. He does a great job avoiding that traffic, watching, seeing what's around him, right? He has great awareness and a good feel of where everybody is on the field. So he avoids all the pick plays. He avoids that traffic. He gets into good position, navigating through all of that. He latches well the receivers down the field and plays them physically. Great tackler in space. He can play the enforcer role without compromising, any missed tackles in space. Destroys screens and RPOs. A great communicator like his two teammates, of course. And maybe you question the range and some of the process and single high looks, but I think he's still really good back there if you need him to be in a pinch. And I don't think he'll be able to square up offensive linemen in the box in the NFL, right? He just doesn't have the frame for it necessarily, but he's able to move around blocks, especially on the perimeter, right? You dip underneath receivers, go through them to make plays. Just a tremendous football player. How you can't be excited about that, what is there to say? So Pittsburgh moved up. Okay. Wait a minute. I am behind. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Oh no, this is like oh no, I feel so bad. Okay, go to the Around the 412 stream right now, people. No, not them. Oh yeah, but they traded up, right? So what the heck? The Rams? This is weird because it seems like all of the reporters actually don't have the other pick. And so, okay, Well, let's look at this really fast. Because everybody's all over the place here. Nobody has the other pick. I'm seeing Downs, and I'm seeing Ty Simpson for the Rams. So that's fascinating. But so 12, 177, and 180. So the Dolphins didn't pick up any picks next year in this trade. I just wouldn't lose out on Caleb Downs for that. Now, did Miami move back with Pittsburgh? I don't quite understand. It sounds like that's the case, but again, I think we're all over the place right now in terms of what I'm seeing. So, like, this is the problem right here. So Pittsburgh moving up, and we have breaking. The Rams will select Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. Okay. And now I see, okay, you got Mawanoa and then Caleb Downs. We're just not covering other stuff, apparently. I don't quite understand that. I'm gonna update the ticker while we're figuring out what the heck's going on here. But we'll get there. There's a lot going on. That's for sure. Cowboys, congrats on Caleb Downs. Where's Jordan Schultz? He must have these. Schultz must have all these. No, he doesn't. So who has Pittsburgh picked? What's going on here? We caught up somehow, and then I'm not sure what's happening anymore. Because I don't see Miami or Pittsburgh, any trade, anything like that. This one is surprising. Okay, so Miami is picking at 12. Okay. That's good. They should just take Ioane. But will they? But this one, I mean, guys, this is on a level of shocking that, gosh, I can't wait to see all the reactions to this. Okay, so okay. Miami, that's interesting. Man. I have this feeling that we're leaving the best tackles left on the board. Freelig, Ihanacho, in a potential sense. Not right away. But Freeling and Miller are being passed over for guys who I just don't think have it right now at tackle. Like Fano maybe. But like why? I understand what this is. I understand what this is. Miami is swinging. This is the Goody swing. Packers South is, my goodness. You talk about rearing back and trying to send a 600-foot homer out to dead center. This is what this is. We've seen this before. We know this. We get to experience. The Dolphins fans get to experience a little bit of what the Packers do in round one. This is a Packers type of selection right here. Goodness sakes. Did not see this one coming, but probably should have. And I take full responsibility for that. I don't know why. Again, just all kinds of confusing. But the Ravens are just going to get Ioane in their lap, right? So, or they take Bain. They get Ioane or Bain at 14. What are we doing, guys? Why are we letting the Ravens do this? The Eagles are going to go get the other one, probably. That's what's going to happen here. We're letting the Ravens and Eagles do the same thing every year. And I'm just not sure what we're doing, Miami. I want to believe, but I do not now. I do not believe. Yeah, you got me all kinds of confused with this one. This one, listen, we have the graphic, obviously. We're going to talk about it. I'm kind of blown away, and we got to get to the Rams. So this back-to-back is outrageous. I need some water. This is crazy. So, all right, let's get to Proctor here for Miami. No, not this one. Let me. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have. Oh, where's my Caden Proctor notes? Okay, guess we're not going to do that. We have to talk about Caden Proctor this way. I don't see my Caden Proctor notes. Okay. Well, I've got plenty of notes on Caden Proctor here. There's just, oh man. To try and be just, I think, as kind of as nice as possible here. How do we be nice? I think. I want to believe that, again, let's put it this way. He is big enough. He's big enough, right, in terms of just kind of swallowing up edge rushers, right? Like, this is clearly something that, with that size, right, which he is. Actually, here, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's share this tab. Okay. Let's share this tab for Caden Proctor, who's 6'6" and 5'8", 352. He's 44th percentile wingspan, which is a little surprising for that size. The arm length is a little short, too, at 33 and 3/8. Some of the testing's good. The vert, impressive. The broad jump, good, right? Like, he has good explosion numbers. I just think the foot speed is pretty slow, right? And I think he just is a little clunkier when he moves, right? There are times where you get him out into space, he can still be a pretty good linear player, which I think that shows in the testing, right? But I think that overall with him, it's just going to be, one, at that size, can you play with good enough leverage, right? Can you stay balanced? Can you redirect and mirror with the foot speed, which he's going to be playing right tackle, right? Patrick Paul's already there. Yeah, I am quite surprised by this. I think he is going to be better off as a guard early on, and so that's why it's just my opinion. Why are you not going to get Ioane? That's just how it is. Juice, they are going to get one of those two. I don't know if you've seen the Rams pick yet, but my goodness, it's something. But yeah, I think it's just, again, the foot speed. There's linear explosiveness there, and he can swallow up rushers, and so you hope that you can maybe cut weight a little, continue to refine. He's a young player. He was a high recruit. This is just very, very Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness coded on the other side of the ball from the Dolphins. That's what this is. That's 100% what this is. And yeah, that's how that goes. I'm a little disheveled. I'm disheveled a little bit from the Rams selection, and a little flustered that I didn't have the Proctor graphic in here. I'm not sure why it's not here. That's on me. Tomorrow we will have them all. I don't know how Proctor was a little bit of an oversight. Maybe I just didn't like the player. Didn't want to make one. No. But man, this one is certainly something. So again, this is just maybe the, hey, we're saving this one, for when he retires. We didn't think we were going to be up this high ever again. We hope never to be. We want to be in the playoffs. Let's take the quarterback, because the Rams are in fact selecting Ty Simpson. So there's that. So that's something. We were ready for this potentially. We had the Ty Simpson graphic ready, but this one is a wrench in the proceedings, just in terms of just what was happening here. I can't believe this. I just figured this is the window, but this is exactly how Jordan Love. No. No, we're not. We're not doing 3 quarterbacks. We can't do that. If we do that, I mean, just the draft has gone rogue. We can't do this. But so with Ty Simpson, right? He's 6'1", 211, just a 1-year starter, which I think is notable, right? 64.5% completion percentage, 35-67, 28 touchdowns, 5 picks last year, 8.25 air yards per attempt, had 30 big-time throws. He had a lot of big-time throws. He made some really, really impressive throws on film over the middle of the field, 17 turnover-worthy plays. Now, I think he's a little bit more natural thrower of the football than Mendoza. Mendoza's a little more robotic. Simpson has a little more elasticity, right? Can speed up the release, it's a little more snappy than a Mendoza throw is, right? And so he can kind of do that when he isn't firmly set on the ground. Now, he needs to be more so because the accuracy wanes, and we'll get to that. But I think there are really good moments of processing and recognition skills in terms of throwing with touch over the middle of the field, getting to the backside, the backside part of the read, getting to the second and third reads down the field in an offense that was fairly vertical in nature of like, we're pushing this down the field, we're going to force the issue. So just a lot of dagger, right? A lot of play action crossers. There's just so much vertical stuff there that, he was dropping the ball in the bucket. He was throwing those second level touch throws, right? And so he can navigate the pocket pretty well. When he's in that flow state, like the LSU game, there were some other games in October where he was just in flow state, making great throws as he was navigating the pocket with I think a little more twitch than maybe Mendoza does. But then you could see kind of the accuracy wane. And I don't know if it was an injury thing, right? And so Drew is saying, some people were saying that the inaccuracy came from injuries. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but maybe the injury was making him worse mechanically, where he just feels that there was a level of disconnect to me between the lower half and the upper half, where the lower half was kind of firing a little bit, and he'd get that like pointed foot, and it felt a little off, like it wasn't all connected. And so if that's because of injury, then maybe you feel better about it. Obviously, again, 1-year starter. This is very, very similar to what Green Bay did with Jordan Love. Now, I think Love's a better prospect than Simpson is, but this is what they're doing. Get him into a very friendly system with a coach who is really good at what he does, and a great group of playmakers, an offense that can be multiple. It's a really good spot for him. I just figured they would have done it at 61 and not here. So interesting, to say the least. He can stare down things a little bit. Stafford does get injured a lot, there's no question, but I think this is still a long play 2 to 3 years down the road for a player like Simpson. But again, fascinating stuff. Okay, the Ravens, I presume, have picked, and it's Ioane, because of course it is. And, he did, okay, to be fair, he did say this, and this was the talk this week. The other part of this whole thing was that Les Snead said Ty Simpson is a first rounder. He said that to his family earlier in the process, earlier this year, of our Lord 2026. And he took him, and it was kind of like, again, I thought this was going to be a pick at maybe 61, or they move up from 61 into the 40s and go get a QB. Sure, but like not like this. This is a different deal here. And again, just very, very surprising, to say the least. So Cowboys, we got to get Dolphins in here for Proctor. Boy, this will be fun to go back and see some reactions to Ty Simpson being picked. I can't wait to see Connor and Trevor's reactions, Brett Coleman's reaction. There's going to be a lot of fun ones. Can't wait to see what the round forward 2 guys think. They're probably thrilled that Pittsburgh didn't get a chance to pick him. But they're probably not thrilled that the Ravens get Venga. And that is the pick for the Ravens. It is Venga Ioane. So let's talk about him. So Oliva Venga Ioane One of my favorites, really, honestly, pretty early in the process here. We were talking. I remember JJ and I were talking about him a ton. Early in the fall of like, yeah, this guy's just got the goods. And turns out he really did, and he's to me one of the best players in the draft. I think this might have the most words of any graphic I have tonight, because there's just so much I think to talk about with him that no, they don't. And the Ravens with edge, you've seen the type that they like too, right? They don't like the Ruben Bains, right? They like the David Ojabos and the the guy from Penn State whose name is escaping me now. They traded him. They literally traded him to the Chargers. He got a big deal from Washington, and now I can't think of his name. If somebody knows that in the chat, that'd be awesome. Oh man, what is Odafe Owe. Yeah, so like the Owe and the Ojabos, they like that more explosive, a little bit of projection, a little bit of work to do on the player, but they love the explosive movement skills, and maybe they just didn't think Bain had that, and they're concerned about the arm length. And here we are sitting with Ruben Bain potentially going to go to Detroit, which is just not something you want to see at all. Ideally, he doesn't, but that gets me concerned about him. The Eagles moving up to go get him, or forbid the Bears go get Ruben Bain. Goodness me. Anyway, let's talk about Venga Ioane to the Ravens. 6'3" and 3/4, 320, 32 and 3/4 inch arm length. Did not qualify for the RAS testing numbers. Extremely reliable, extremely intelligent at the guard position. Plug and play left guard, and truly plug and play. This is a guy who just sees things really well, right? All of the games and the twists and the stunts that go on up front, late blitzers, all of it. His eyes get where they need to be. He knows what his assignment is. If certain players are blitzing versus not, certain guys drop out. He knows where he needs to be. He knows what the pass pro call is. So really love that. He's a brick wall in pass pro. Just nobody moved him backward really all year long. When they tried to run through him, it was just anchors down, hand placement in the early strike time and give him control. He got, he's bending his knees. He's straight up and down with his back being kind of flat, and he's keeping his distance from rushers, right? He's not letting guys run into him and getting the collision thing. He's maintaining that extension. The grip strength is unbelievable. He can reset the hands nicely. Great leg drive and power at the point of attack, removing defensive linemen from their gaps, right, on down blocks and even base blocks. He flashes that as well, right? I was kind of blown away, the reach block stuff, where he is like snapping and exploding out of his stance to work around defenders quickly. And I just didn't think he was that type of athlete. And I don't think he is necessarily in a change direction type of shuffle per se, but if he has to explode in one direction, he can. That gives you massive wins on reach blocks like that. And really good stuff as a puller, right? He hits those landmarks. He can just he can knock people across the field, right? He's scheme versatile, I think, basically, but really because of the reach blocks. Otherwise, I would have said no. He's a gap power guy, but no. Looks for work in pass pro. He's got the tone setting mindset. Again, the mirror quicks and redirect recovery quicks are maybe the question in terms of pass protection handling, like the best of the best NFL athletes. But as far as kind of most of the league, he's going to be head and shoulders above them. He can duck his head a little bit sometimes at the point of attack in the run game, and that can lead to some balance stuff. But I think the other thing is last second adjustments in the run game. If he has to do that, that's maybe, again, isn't the twitchiest to snap that movement, right? Not like a Fano or a Lomu, who I think can make those last second adjustments on the move, whereas Venga's not going to do that. But he gets enough head of steam. He'll get the hands on you. He'll collide with you in some regard. So again, we're really nitpicking in terms of the what to work on for Venga Ioane, because I think he's tremendous. Again, I think he's top 5, top 6 player in this class, and I just don't think there's any question about it, to be honest. And this does feel like the Ravens again, just the year they got Hamilton and Linderbaum of like, hey, we're just going to get a top player at a position that's not maybe highly valued, but it's not going to matter. So the Bucs took Ruben Bain, which everybody can breathe now a little bit in Packer land about him going to Detroit. We needed a win tonight, which is good. That's good to see. Yeah, I think that's really good for Tampa. And the thing about Bain, they showed Venga highlights and the holes are bad. Yeah, I mean, I think he also kind of made up for some of the mistakes that Shelton and Nick Dawkins made at left tackle and center respectively, where he just does the work he can do and just be scheme versatile is insane. Like Declan Doyle's got to be over the moon that he's like, man, I got a guy that I don't have to worry about. We can leave him one-on-one. We can shift the protection the other way. Like this guy's going to take care of so many things for us and just be an anchor out there, truly. And so I think he loves that. Tampa Bay has indeed done what we said. They have indeed selected Ruben Bain Jr., which I think this fit works. I think this fit works out nicely, and I'll kind of explain why I think it works in a second. Okay, the Jets, I thought this was a possibility. So we'll get to the Jets one. It's not lemon for the Jets. It's not lemon. It is on the offensive side of the football. It's not my favorite thing to do with that pick, but they did it. We'll get to it. So I don't want anyone else in the NFC North to take R. Mason Thomas. I think Ayers, the only team who would is maybe Chicago, and yet I think Chicago's going to want bigger. Chicago's going to want a Mesidor or a Parker or a Zion Young or a Falk. I don't think they're going to want an R. Mason Thomas unless they want him in the rotation. They feel comfortable with the heavy defensive ends they already have. But yeah, it is Sadiq for the Jets. But let's talk about Ruben Bain first, and because I think this is a truly fabulous landing spot for him, because he doesn't have to be a down end all the time. So yeah, so the Bucs get Ruben Bain here, 6'2" and a quarter, 263. Again, he's in the first percentile of arm length. We'll go to the mock draftable here in a second when we're done with this. Not enough numbers for the testing. Big 2025 for him, right? 83 pressures, 9.5 sacks, 15.5 tackles for loss, 37 run stops, 15% pressure rate. Again, pass rush productivity at an 8.9 is pretty low, right? We remember with David Bailey was a 13. You know, that's what the Jets were chasing, right? So when you look at Ruben Bain, I think there's alignment versatility. I think you could reduce him down to be a 3-tech and rush from there. I think he can rush from the wide 9, which is important because I think that's where the Bucs will deploy him plenty. Probably at some 7-tech as well. For those who don't know, right, the 0-tech is head up on the center, 2 head up on the guard, 4 head up on the tackle, so 5 is just shaded outside of the tackle. The further you go, you just assume that there are more guys on the line. And so the 9-tech, essentially a wide 9, gives you a heavy runway into contact against tackles. And I think Ruben Bain can rush from the 2-point stance, the 3-point stance. He can have his hand in the dirt. He can explode off the ball from the 2-point as well, right? I think the snap timing is really good. He's got good flexibility and bend. I know some people don't think so. That's fine. I personally think it's fine. I don't think it's great. I'm not saying he's Cassius Howell, but I think he's plenty bendy and flexible for 263. So he can trim his angles to the QB. He doesn't have to go just totally around the arc. He can kind of flatten it, win with the hands at contact, right? And then I think when you look at him, use the hesitation moves and jabs to soften those angles, right? He'll get tackles to commit, flash the hands early, dip underneath, chop the arm, all of that to get wins. And I think when you can build up a little bit of speed like he can from the wide 9, it gives you the opportunity to throw those jab steps in there while maintaining speed, and then you can just you counter, you get to the move you want to, and you get wins. And I think Bowles is envisioning that with a player like Ruben Bain to do something like that. So again, can swipe away the O-line punches. He's got the Euro step, the swim move. He can dip and rip. He's got the club counters, right, to kind of toss guys aside. He's got the Reggie White hump move where he gets in tight and just kind of uproots him by getting that arm underneath the armpit. He's good strike, good extension, good leverage against the run, quick recognition skills as well. When he doesn't have the strength advantage, he can get stuck as a pass rusher, right? Often because he doesn't have the reach advantage, and there are some times where he loses balance. And so there are things where he does get stuck a little bit more rushing the passer than some others do. But I think Tampa Bay gives him a really good spot to hone his skills. The Jets, let's get to them. They have selected Kenyon Sadiq. Guys, I think I'm out on the Jets. I think I'm out on the Jets. Unfortunately, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't understand the plan. I really don't. I wanted to be in for you guys. I really did. And the Jets said, no, we're gonna mess this up. I just really don't like this. I thought they're just Lemon. I don't quite get this because I just don't think he can play tight end full time, and that's the issue for me. Let's talk about that. So Kenyon Sadiq, 6'2", 5'8", 241, right, which is not often where you want to be in terms of trying to play in line. 31.5-inch arm length. He's obviously a tremendous athlete, extremely talented in that regard. Explosive linear threat, is going to be able to win up the seam. Right, that's very clear. Like, he can win up the seam. He's got the build-up speed and the explosion to blow past safeties, linebackers, and be a threat in that regard. He can be a yards after the catch threat with the ball in his hands. He's got the twitch to make people miss, accelerates in a hurry. He's tough. He can hurdle guys, right? All of that to say he can play after the catch, right? The leaping ability to catch points good, and we talked about the pull-away speed and what that's going to look like in some mismatches. But he to his credit, to Sadiq's credit, he is willing to block. He is willing to block. You know, safeties, linebackers, he'll go drop them on the ground. He will punish them. So he wants to do it, right? The problem is I think when you watch him against Indiana and against a guy in Kamara who's just, I don't know if he's going to be picked. He may be late day 3. He's defeating him at the line of scrimmage when Sadiq's trying to be in line because Sadiq just doesn't have the frame and the requisite power to lean and maintain balance, and he has to bring everything he's got to those blocks on the edge, and that's where he loses balance, and that's where guys are going to take advantage of him. So I just don't think he can do that, and I think he gets bogged down by more talented defensive backs. I think D'Angelo Pons shut him down pretty good. I don't think he's got really good horizontal breaking route efficiency like Loveland does, like even a Hawkinson, like a Laporta. I don't think he's as efficient in the through break transition part of horizontal breaking routes, outbreak, in-break, as good as those guys. And so that's where I have a lot of hesitation with him of like, is this just kind of Jonnu Smith? If so, or like a turbocharged Jonnu Smith, is that worth it at 16? Maybe. But not to me. Not to me. Yeah, I think the Browns seem to be doing fine. They took Fano, they got extra picks. The Raiders took the QB. Yeah, I think the Jets are. Oh, and I've got one more thing on Sadiq, by the way. Bring this up really fast here. Just so we can talk about one more thing about Sadiq and company. So Kenyon Sadiq's production profile versus other top tight ends. So you look at Bowers, Loveland, Warren, Fannin, just from the last couple drafts. Yards per route run. Warren just barely didn't get to 2 yards per route run. Okay? And I think obviously Bowers gets a 2.64 career yards per route run. Loveland gets 2.22, and Harold Fannin had 3. Right, first downs per target. He's not last, Sadiq, in that regard. at least. He's doing some good stuff, in terms of where he's getting the football. Right, he's better than Loveland in that regard, at least, but he's, again, behind Bowers, behind Warren in that regard. And then first downs per route run, he's well behind the rest. He hasn't hit the threshold that these guys are hitting in the production part of this. And again, I know there are other mouths to feed, but these guys were dominant players when they got the ball. I'm just not sure about it. I wish that, I think the Jets had an opportunity here, and I think they just kind of squandered it. Oh, man. This one hurts. This one hurts, for me at least. I think this is really good for Detroit. This is the it's only the second time I like an O-line pick. So so the Lions, I guess I'm not doing a good job of putting positions on this, so I should probably do that going forward. We'll definitely make sure we're doing more of that tomorrow. The Lions are selecting Blake Miller, offensive tackle from Clemson. I like him. Most experienced offensive lineman taken so far. So let's talk about him. Let's go get to it. This guy I know I have in here. Present time. So, I'm not sure Minnesota goes with a safety, seeing what's on the board. Maybe not. Yeah. No, I think, Ruben Bain to the Bay. Gets to stay in Florida. And I think a really, really good spot for him, Juice. I think that's a really good spot. He gets to rush from the wide 9. That's a great situation. It's a great situation. Drew says I like Miller, but I don't think he's devastating. Would have rather they took Freeling. But what can you do? Yeah, I think that they got a better deal, because I think Freeling and Miller are going to be tackles. And I think maybe the saving grace for Fano and Mawanoa is they can kick inside. If they don't hang out there, and the other two probably can't. But I just like the film better for both of these guys at tackle versus their counterparts who went higher. So Freeling hasn't been picked yet. That's interesting. Is that going to be the Steelers? Maybe. So let's talk about Miller. 6'6" and 3/4, 317, 34 and a quarter in charm, 9.9 RAS. 54 starts. 3,631 snaps at right tackle, 101 at left tackle. Experience, it shows up. He's well aware of how defensive ends and edge rushers want to attack, right? He anticipates movements. He anticipates counters. Really sharp timing with the inside hand to prevent that kind of inside counter, inside pressure after threatening the arc. He's got the quicks and the explosion to get out of the stance. He's got tremendous footwork to recover, redirect, mirror when he's out on an island. He's got the length and flashes the placement to stymie rushers early, especially when they're trying to get to the long arm, they're trying to get to the bull rush. He's played a lot of top-level talent in his career. And I think the run game is more of he's not an elite finisher. Right, he's not like the true mauler in the run game, but he's going to win with quicks. He's going to beat defenders as a spot. He's going to reach block. He's going to seal. Right, he'll get in the way on down blocks, and he'll get to the second level on time. I think the power profile is really the question, right? He plays a little bit upright, so his anchor isn't the best, and so powerful rushers can send him backwards. And so if he's second to strike, which he is a decent amount, that's going to be the danger for him. If he strikes late and he can't anchor, that can be devastating. And that's where the bust potential lies. But I just think the quicks, the athleticism, the understanding of how rushers want to attack him, that's where I think he kind of separates himself from some of the rest of these guys in this draft. Now, the Vikings, Drew has not liked it, whatever it is. Okay. So this one, man, I knew it. I was worried about this. I I got stumped again. I didn't think Banks was going tonight. Should have known Woods wouldn't go. He stinks. Okay, well, there you go. I was like, who did Drew not want him to take? Yeah, I got it. Okay, yeah. So, the Vikings are going to select Caleb Banks, defensive tackle from Florida. Something that was mocked heavily to them way back in March. Like, this was very common. And we kind of just let it go because of the foot injuries, which I think it's understandable. In terms of that, because it's we thought, okay, well, he's not gonna get picked highly anymore because we're not gonna see him, right? So yeah, let's talk about him. Didn't make the graphic. That's unfortunate, but he's 6'6" and a quarter, 327, 35-inch arm length. Obviously, flash up there the 85 and 7/8 wingspan. That's outrageous. And he moves different, right? It's his physical tools. He's big, long. He's got the quickness. He can slice through gaps really effectively. When he strikes with his hands, right, guys just really struggle to maintain control because of the length, because of the wingspan, and because of the power on top of it. He's got, again, sudden movement. He can cross the face of the guards, right? And he can get up the arc. He can swipe. He can swim. He's got the push-pull because nobody can reach him. So when he strikes and he can just rip down, he's able to win that way as a pass rusher. There is some good stuff in terms of recognizing what's coming, what block he's going to see, and I think that level of processing is interesting. Footwork is unbelievably good. Yeah, he shouldn't have gone past 32, but if big man can't stay healthy because of the feet, like that's, if he can't stay healthy, it's not going to look very good in a few years' time. I think the hand usage is inconsistent because I think he's trying to just win with athleticism a lot. He did a little bit of that at the Senior Bowl where he was just trying to win, going up the arc, turning the corner, and he wasn't trying to counter as quickly because he thought he could just win with the pure athleticism. And so he doesn't make a lot of plays in the backfield. That's maybe the thing. The finishing, that's a little bit reminiscent of Derek Harmon last year, right? A guy who was consistently in the backfield, just didn't finish a lot of those, and that's something to think about. But, and again, obviously the injuries and not playing a lot, but this is for sure to me. When you look at the defensive tackle class, like, if you're purely swinging for ceiling, it's Banks, it's Proctor, it's Halton, and then you can worry about the other guys later. Like Woods doesn't fit himself into that category for me. He will probably for others, but I think Banks, if you're going to swing, you might as well. And the Vikings did it. The Vikings did do that. So not surprising there. Panthers, this could be Thieneman. Definitely could be Thieneman. It's not Thieneman. Okay, good. We're moving now. Now we're cooking. Gosh, we may be done before 10 Central. This is crazy. I have seen the Eagles trade up with Dallas. That could be for Thieneman. But the Panthers, as I said, they have selected Monroe Freeling, the tackle from Georgia. So we're going to get on that immediately here. All right, where are you, Monroe Freeling? Where the heck are you? Here you are. Okay, yeah. So the Panthers, they lose Ike Ekwonu to potentially, he might not get to play next year at all. So they're kind of in a tricky spot. What do you do? I think this is a good insurance play by them, right? 6'6" and 5'8", 315, going to get Monroe Freeling, 34 and 3/4 arm length, 999 RAS, one of the best athletes in history. at tackle, 1,368 snaps at left tackle, 287 at right tackle. This is your athlete, right? This is explosive to the landmark. This is explosive on the move, to pull, to backside seal, right, where you have to still cross the face of the defensive lineman in front of you. This is get to the second level on time, right? All of that. So explosive mover, that works. His outside hand is really strong at times to prevent rushers kind of from softening the angle of the QB, turning the corner. However, I think he gives up more ground than others, right? I think the anchor stuff is a little bit worse for wear right now, and I don't think he doesn't recover well, and he doesn't get back into things if guys are kind of countering off of the bull rush, right? When they push him backwards and he's dropping anchor and he's trying to hold his ground, right? Like this, he struggles to kind of get back up to speed, reaccelerate into mirror phase again. And that's where you're going to get losses like that. Pregnon has that where the base gets too wide at times, and it happens with Freeling a little bit as well. But Freeling can narrow his base, kind of like Mawanoa, right? When he gets threatened around the arc, he kind of narrows, and that's where you get vulnerable against explosion to power rushers. And so I think this is still a developmental move from Carolina. There's a lot to iron out technically in his game, right? We talked about it. The narrow base, the anchor skill, right? He's taller, right? He's a little narrower. He's got the arm length, though, and that should be something that's beneficial to him that you just got to take advantage of a little bit more. So I know Philly has moved up to Dallas's pick at 20. We're going to find out who that's for. Oh, why? Why? Man, come on, Philly. That's messed up, man. That's beyond frustrating. Philly took Mekhi Lemon. Dang it. Yeah, 6-0 line taken so far. I do imagine we're going to... Drew, I have to imagine at least one of Ihonachor and Lomu go tonight for a 7th O lineman. At the very least. I think probably 2 more go tonight. But, yeah, A.J. Brown getting traded. Man, the Eagles have some of my favorites at receiver. What are we doing? Hate that. But it is what it is. That's rough. That's tough. You really don't like to see that. Just because I just don't like the Eagles, right? Like, so you don't want to see something like that. Gosh, and the see, look at that right away. What are we talking about here, right? Interdivision trade. And I think the Cowboys know they can move back and get Keldrick Folk if that's who they want. So, yeah. Drew says feels like there was a big drop-off after Lemon at receiver. I don't know. I think Concepcion's pretty darn talented. Metrics-wise, it would yes, I think that's right. I think from the advanced metrics and the numbers, it would tell you that there's a drop-off here and there's a tier break. Concepcion's tricky for me because if he would just catch the dang ball, I feel like he would be in this conversation, but he doesn't. And Cooper's solid, pretty good. Cooper's in that like Matthew Golden tier for me of like a pretty good early 2 kind of receiver and may just sneak himself into round 1, but all right, fine. All right, fine. We'll talk about it if we must. All right, Eagles take Mekhi Lemon at pick 20 in a move up. Really annoying, of course. 5'11 and a quarter, 192. Ran the 4.5 40, was running on his heels. That was a whole big thing, right? In terms of like, that's concerning, right? I don't know. His 2025 was outrageously good. We're going to bring up some metrics quick. I put them in a Google sheet. We're going to take a look at those because he's kind of the last of the guys to go here. 79 for 11, 56 and 11 in 2025, over 3 yards per route run. His first downs per route run are outrageously is just outrageously good in his career. I think he's the best storyteller in the draft, and that comes from a route running, that comes from a pacing, that comes from attacking leverage, right? Especially from in the slot where he just knows how to set things up. His route break transitions are extremely, extremely efficient, right? He's maintaining shoulder plane through the break, and he's not tipping his hand at all. He's not rising up before the break point. We'll talk about a lot of guys tomorrow that do that. He gets defenders to open up early, right? He threatens vertically really well. That's part of the shoulder plane thing. So when you're getting out of your stance, right, your shoulders are over the toes, and we're in full. This is a vertical route mode. He does a great job snapping off the comebacks and the curls off of that. He works to the blind spot extremely well. And so the route tree is extremely, extremely good. And then the catch point stuff might be even better than that. He attacks it well at the catch point, right? His technique is so good. He elevates under control. He's high pointing it at the right time. Again, he's using underhand attack and overhand attack when he needs to. There's a play against Illinois where he's kind of in the space between three defenders, and he makes sure he goes to attack it before there's any level of collision or hit that he's going to take. And, the tracking, the ability to extend out away from your frame near the sideline with guys draped on your back, right? Like, I think that is what's so good about him. And he finds way finds way to separate himself. He attacks early if he needs to. Catch to attack transition, super, super good. He sets up the post catch wins with his footwork on a lot of screens, right? So that's really impressive as well, right? The wicked twitch in space. He forces a ton of missed tackles, right? He does have to work on varying his release, but I do like the fact that he isn't messing around at the line of scrimmage very much. He's very much split, get into the route, speed release, get into the route, right? So I think that is really impressive for him as well. He started to in the matchup with Leonard Moore from Notre Dame, who's going to be a top pick next year at corner, and he gave everybody trouble. He gave Lemon some trouble because, Lemon's not big and physical enough to combat him with the hands very much, but he got him he got him twice with a quick release and go, and then he got him with a shuffle release for a big gain. So he had some wins against Moore in that game. But the fact that Moore traveled inside where he really didn't with anyone else they played tells you that they respect this guy a ton. And can he play in the boundary? This is kind of a JSN situation, right? Where it's like, maybe he's just going to be more in a condensed set, play some flanker, and you can deal with that. But I just think he's really technically advanced. And those type of players, they stick around. They truly just stick around. So big fan of it. Don't like it, of course, because it's Philly, and that's really, really frustrating. But it is what it is, I guess. So, yeah, the June trade, I think, is on. The New England Patriots do not have to do anything at receiver tonight. I think that's probably smart for them because I don't think they're going to get a chance to draft Concepcion or Cooper. Maybe Cooper, but I think that, this is it makes sense. Patriots are going to be able to go O-line if they want to as well. Okay. Pittsburgh's pick is in. Don't know what it is yet, but we're ready for it when it comes in. Dang, we got by Proctor and by Banks tonight. Again, we got a lot of these, so I'm excited to see what this is. I've kind of finally caught up. Ooh, Corey on it first. Good for Corey. So here's a good one, and this is another reason why I really like this. I like it, but I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? So really quick here, Makai Lemon, 3 yards per route run against man and zone coverage. Since 2021, the guys to do this. JSN, Waddle, Chase, Devontae Smith, and then Dwayne Eskridge. So obviously, yeah, the outlier there is a guy from a smaller school, but everybody else, whoo boy, it's good. And so let's bring this up while we're waiting for Pittsburgh's pick. But I think Corey Kinnan broke this right here. Looks like it's Ihanachor for the Steelers. But let's go here for something that I've been putting together. Was putting together yards per out run, best season yards per out run. Yards per out run as a freshman, first downs per route run, and then first downs per target, right? And so when you look at this, right, he's basically at 0.13 first downs per route run, Lemon is, and then he's at 3 yards per route run for his career. If you look for those two numbers, right, basically 0.13 yards or 0.13 first downs per route run and 3 yards per route run in his career, you get a few names. JSN, okay, Puka Nakua, okay, and then our favorite trio that were mentioned earlier, right? Because 0.125, I think all of these go up. 0.128, 0.125, they all get rounded up to 0.13. Chase, Smith, Waddle. So in recent years, the 3 yards per route run and the 0.13 first downs per route run group is Lemon, it's JSN, it's Puka, it's Jamar Chase, it's Devontae Smith, it's Jalen Waddle. So, yeah, pretty good group. And yeah, Pittsburgh does have Pittman, so that Pittman and DK, they could go receiver. Concepcion in the slot would be a problem, but they kind of do need offensive line. So I understand why they've done this. But is this confirmed other than Corey? I have to imagine it is now. Yeah. Let's go. Hyping up my guy really quick before we get there. Air says they should go for Ted Hurst in the second anyway. DK doesn't seem to be as good as he used to be. So, yeah. Yes, this is true. Let's get our pick in here for the Steelers. Max Ihanachor for Pittsburgh. Means Chargers are on the clock, but we're not worried about them right now. We got some we got a player to talk about here. So let's talk about him. So yeah, Max Ihanachor, tackle from Arizona State, 6'5" and 3/4, 321, 33 7/8 inch arm length, 986 RAS. Even though he's relatively new to the position, right, having only started playing football, I believe 5 years ago, he might be, as Drew puts out, the most interesting prospect in the draft. Coming over to play, new to the sport, but 5 years in, he's got 2,100 career snaps at right tackle. So he's got at least some experience in college where you can lean on a little bit of what he's learned. But I think he's the ascending player. This is I think, to me at least, the Caleb Proctor of offensive linemen in this draft, where it's like, if we look back and the development track is good, this could be tackle one when all is said and done. He will demand some patience, there's no question. But in terms of like pure movement skills, when we're talking about explosiveness into your sets, but also the quick little recovery redirect movements, he's better than everybody in this class. Whereas I don't think Freeling has the next level twitch and movement skills to mirror. I think it's good, but it's not great. And Ihanachor's movements like that are great. Miller's movements are good. Ihanachor's are great. And so really with Ihanachor, it's about the finer details of playing this position right now. It's, can we be comfortable hitting the correct landmarks in pass pro? Can we not open up our hips and shoulders far too early when we're setting to track people down, trying to win around the arc, right? That leaves you susceptible. Guys can, spin inside spin counter. They can, club counter and send you spiraling further down the field, right? So he's got to be able to recognize when is go time to open up the hips, open up the shoulders when guys are trying to win on the vertical or win on the outside track, I should say. right? So he is improving the mental game. I think it's getting better and better with blitz recognition, stunt recognition, right? Different pressure looks, what the assignment is. I think he's getting better, but it still needs improvement, right? And I think the strike timing needs to get much better. He definitely kind of loads up to strike, and I think it's got to be quicker, right? We can't be the second guy to strike. We can't strike really, really late either. We can't bear hug guys, which is some of these prospects coming out definitely do that. So again, it's a comfort hitting the landmarks. It's a recognition of the twists, the stunts, what the assignments are, and not striking too late in the contact phase. But I think Ihanachor is a great ceiling bet. Again, I think Pittsburgh has a guy that left tackle. I know Broderick Jones has a neck thing, and that's really serious. Hopefully he's all good and can play again. They had a guy fill in who did pretty well at left tackle. They can leave him there, leave Fautanu at right tackle for this year, and then hopefully in 27, when you potentially have a QB to roll with, because it doesn't seem like they have one, then we've got Fautanu to left, Ihanachor to right, or you flip Ihanachor to left if you want to and leave Fautanu. Either way, he's going to be, I think, developed to be the starter long-term, but it might not happen this year. I love the swing. I think it's exactly what you should be doing if you're Pittsburgh. In this scenario, especially where it's like, we're probably not going to contend. If we get to the playoffs again, cool, but like this isn't where we want to be long-term. We want to be, hitting a ceiling that we really haven't. Okay. Chargers at 22. They're going to select Akeem Mesidor. And I get it. Mesidor's a good player. Can he stay healthy? That's really the question. Are we going to be able to do that? I don't know. But if they believe, which I think they are, but the problem is, again, they are when everyone's healthy, and they just never seem to be healthy, this team. They can't find a way to stay healthy. Ayers asks, is Zach Tom a top 5 pass pro offensive tackle? I don't know. It's a good question. I would say that Lane, Tristan Wirfs, Trent Williams are 3 of them. Zach Tom might be better than Penny in pass pro. Trying to think who else. Andrew Thomas, when healthy, maybe, but I don't think that's a slam dunk. Seattle, Cross might be better. Bowles, not sure about that. Yeah, maybe. I think it's possible. Yeah, he's better than Penny and pass pro. He might be top 5. Mailata's pretty good. Again, Thomas when healthy, but he's not right now. I mean, Wirfs, Johnson, and Trent Williams are the 3 names that come to mind immediately. So maybe that's true. But Garrett Bowles would be somebody I'd have to look at more. But yeah, they did need edge. Dallas is on the clock now. Yeah, he's probably in that range. I think at worst case, he's top 8. Like worst case. Okay, let's get to talk about Mesidor here. Whoops. Okay. And share. I know he's up here. Honestly, these might be my favorite colors. The Miami graphics might be my favorite in terms of the color. I don't know why the orange and green looks so good here. Maybe because it's not super bright compared to the rest. But anyway, let's talk about Mesidor. 6'3", 259, 32 and 1/8 inch arm length. Again, pretty short arms, but had a really, really good 2025. 67 pressures, 12.5 sacks, 17.5 tackles for loss, 29 run stops, a 15% pressure rate, kind of in that same line of where Bain was, and then a little bit more productive, at least in terms of PFF's pass rush productivity index. I think that, when you look at what he is the pass rush tactician. That's what he is. He keeps his feet moving through contact during the rush. Again, he's got the frame to handle that. The chop, the rip, the dip stuff is really good where he flattens his angle to the quarterback. He's got some first step explosion. I don't think he really sustains much of that on the outside track, but it gives him some wins. It got him some wins against Notre Dame, against Indiana, where that first step got him where he needed to be, where he doesn't have to maintain necessarily that level of explosion and speed around the arc, but it gives him enough to be able to turn the corner because he's got the hand usage to do so. He's got the Euro cross chop. You know, he implements that with the Euro step. He's got the inside counters, which are really good. There's one against A&M where he's working up the arc as a 3-tech, which he can reduce in size 3-tech, right? He shocks guards with the quicks, change the direction, can attack half man, and then can win with some power as well. But there's one against A&M where he attacks the outside shoulder. He gets far enough up the arc, and then he spins inside to counter, and then he's creating pressure. So there's just some really good stuff countering in that A&M game when they needed him to. He kind of beat up on Indiana, kind of beat up on Ohio State, which they didn't have a great line, but he flashes the anchor and balance at the point of attack, right, a little bit. He's got the great hustle and motor. He can be involved in run stunts if you want to be, if you want to do that. Really, at the point of attack, when he's trying to set an edge against the run, it's just the lack of length. Even when he turns to kind of set and leverage, it's a little bit of a struggle for him. It's not as much of a struggle, though, as getting off blocks. I think that's the bigger concern when he can set the edge. And he isn't really a power rusher. He tries to set it up, but again, I think that first step explosion is good, but he doesn't really maintain that level of speed into contact. So he's not a really devastating power rusher. He's just, again, more of the tactician, get to the counters, win with the hands type of rusher. And I think you can, and there is a role for that. And the Chargers definitely needed a player of that caliber. All right. Where are we at? Did the Cowboys take CJ Allen? No. No. Dang it. I knew it. I did I give them him? No. Not last night. No. Oh, dang. Yo, this Cowboys draft is really good, people. It's a really good Cowboys draft. Dang it. Dang it. Juice, I mentioned it to Juice last night. I was like, I think he could go here. There's some talk. Man. That one, that one hurts a little bit. That one hurts a little. I won't lie. But yeah, the Cowboys have selected Malachi Lawrence, edge rusher from UCF. I just, you know what? As a consolation, please, Cowboys fans, find the video. How about that? Just find the video. See where we're at. Hopefully Washington fans have found the Styles one. Some of them should be subbed to me also. So there should be people subbed who should be finding it. Because I did the Amos video for them last year. But yes, this is the important thing. We didn't 3 years in a row, we will not be crushed at what the Bears do in the first. They can't get Malachi Lawrence. That is a massive win for America. Okay, massive win for America. So we're okay with this. So yeah, Cleveland, then Chicago. I've seen Cleveland's pick. We'll get to that. But I want to get to my guy. A true my guy in this class. Get ready. Here we go. It's Malachi Lawrence to Dallas. Malachi Lawrence, 6'4" and 3/8, 253, 33 and 5/8. His arm length, 995 RAS was obviously one. He cleaned up, no question about it, during Combine week. Now, I don't think he's just a Combine workout warrior. I don't even think he's quite that level of athlete necessarily on the field. But I do think he is maybe just as advanced as Mesidor, but I think with maybe more left in the tank to get to a really, really, yes, Yes, and that's the big thing, right? I think he has more moves to get to than Mesidor. He just isn't as polished maybe as Mesidor getting to them on a consistent basis. Now, I will say the Baylor game for Malachi Lawrence is one of the best games any prospect has put together this cycle. He crushed them. He obliterated Baylor this year. Really impressive. Would have really liked to see Malachi Lawrence go up against the Utah boys this year. That would have been cool to see how he handled them, because I think he would have had the reach and length advantage, and it would have been really cool to see how he fared against them. But yeah, had a 17.5% pressure rate, so higher than the Miami guys. True pass set win percentage of 37.3%. Yeah, 7 sacks, 40 pressures, 11 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, 10.7 pass rush productivity, better than the Miami guys. I think he has excellent acceleration and burst around the arc with his between his second and fourth steps. That second, third, fourth step to get around the arc and threaten that outside track is really, really good. He's got the flexibility, bend. You see the shin angles look pretty good when he's working through contact and trying to get around the edge. I think he modulates tempo really nicely, right, to get tackles off balance, lull them to sleep, change direction. He strikes first as a rusher, which we talked about, all these tackles striking second. Lawrence strikes first, often with the kind of a two-hand strike, and he kind of swipes or he pulls, and he gets tackles off balance and wins that way around the corner, right, which I think is really good. Again, we talked about the arsenal, the two-hand swipe, the chop rip. He gets the euro. He's got the inside move. The North Carolina game, he tries to win twice to the outside, setting himself up for an inside win, and he takes advantage of it. I think there are moments where he converts explosion to power because he's got that second, third, and fourth step that I don't think Mesidor has to get to a point where you can drive guys back and push pockets. So he's got good pad level at contact as well. You see the balance through contact, right? We've talked about how good the change direction skills are, but that's even on the move against perimeter runs. I think he chases down stuff in the run game and to the flat really nicely. There's a play against, I think, North Carolina where guy's running out to the flat at running back and he just runs him over. So he's up for the fight. I think the first step can be better, which I think is crazy to say because how good the second, third, fourth steps are. But the first step sometimes is backwards or it's in place, and he's almost replacing his feet like a receiver would off the release. And so if that first step gets better, look out. He's going to unlock he's going to unlock a whole new level of fear, I think, in opponents across from him. So, and I don't know if the run defense is they're just letting him freelance and move around, because I know Adam Huddle, he was in here earlier. He was talking about, or at least in some of our other shows, about how he's just not a good run defender, which I think the production's pretty poor against the run for sure. But they kind of let him run around and make plays, I think. I think they were just letting him freelance, which I'm not sure why they were doing that, because he's got the length and he can sit down and set an edge, right? It's not going to be as forceful. It's going to be more finesse, but he can do it. It's successful. It's there. I looked all throughout the film. It's there. It's on film. And so he just has to get to it more, and they got to let him do more of that because the pass rush arsenal is so good from him. So really impressed. I love that for Dallas. I think this Dallas draft has been outstanding. And we'll get right to it since it's on the ticker already. The Browns have selected KC Concepcion. I'm sure the Bears pick is already in, so we're going to try to catch up as best we can here as we're running behind a little bit. Oh, maybe not. Okay, the last thing I see is this, so that's good. Okay, the Browns have selected KC Concepcion, the wide receiver from Texas A&M, and a guy who I think he's probably earned a spot in the first. Okay, I definitely did his. Where is it? I'll just go to Canva and find it. I know I did his because I have it. It's here. Let's download it. Did Boston get in here? Don't know. But I have the graphic. We're not getting stumped a third time. I refuse. I steadfastly refuse. Now, where is it? Okay, There we go. Sorry about that, everyone. Yeah, the Bears getting... Oh, Thieneman's still here. Frick. Yeah, they're picking him. That hurts. That's not gonna feel good. They picked him too. Shoot. Okay. Well, let's talk about Casey Concepcion to Cleveland really fast. 5'11 and 5'8", 196. Didn't do the testing. Pretty good 2025. Almost 2.5 yards per route run. He caught 61 for 919 and 9. He's got electricity that's tough to match. Concepcion's level of electricity is better than everybody else in this class. You got to cover every blade of grass against him. Period. I think the release work, even against press, is probably the best in class. It's probably him and Tyson for that title. I think Tate and Lemon get swallowed up a little bit more and get bogged down because he's got the twitch. He's got the, he can vary the tempo. He's got a little bit more to his bag at the line of scrimmage, and he's got the hand swipes. He times up those swipes really well at the line of scrimmage to avoid getting bogged down early in the route. He leans into leverage and can snap off routes at the top. That lean and snap ability is so good. I think the speed turns are really impressive when he's not working kind of into the weight drop, and the drive steps are really good because of that, right? On in and out breakers. I think that he eats up cushion. He stacks with ease. There's a really good play against Notre Dame where he gets pushed inside a little bit, but he fights to stack and gets back out on his line, which is really good stuff from him. He's got that easy acceleration, right? And he's explosive on a curvilinear track. He's a jitterbug with the football. He can erase angles. He can make you miss. And he wants it at the catch point. He attacks the catch point without fear. He flashes attacking the blind spot. He finds space against zone coverage really nicely, especially against the zone triangles with hitch and curl routes. I don't think the vertical plane stuff is as good as I was expecting it to be. I thought there would be more weight drop with that, but I think teams are going to fear the speed, and so he'll probably get more free access on those anyway because the vertical pressure is that good. I think, again, catch technique, we've talked about it, right? When you watch him, he is separating his hands and he's catching like this at the catch point. Whereas people who rise up with their hands in the diamond already are already in a good position. He's clapping the football. Another guy who clapped the football and struggled with, do I use underhand, do I use overhand in this scenario, was Marvin Harrison Jr. And I didn't see it. I wasn't paying attention to it as much, but it shows up if you go back and watch him. That's the one thing with Concepcion that has to be better if he wants to stay on the field and produce. He has to get better on that because third downs, key plays, you're gonna have to secure the football, my guy. But the separation stuff is top notch. So, really big fan of that. For Cleveland, I like that pick a lot better, at least than the Fano pick for them. Okay. Let's see. Oh. So the Bills and the Texans traded, you said. Shoot. Well, he was going to go to Minnesota or Chicago anyway, it seems. So that's a tough one. That's a tough one. That's a really good player they got. Oh, whew. Could he end up Devontae Adams-esque? Concepcion to me is a much more turbocharged version of Zay Flowers. I think. I think he fits more in the mold of a Waddle than he does a Devontae Adams. But he is advanced in that way with like combating with the hand usage at both at the line of scrimmage and at the top of routes. There are some routes where he's winning on an in and out breaker, and he's like, almost involuntarily swiping because he's expecting contact and he knows he needs to be ready for it, which is good. But I don't know if he could end up in there, but I think like the ceiling's probably like a Waddle. I think he's again, I think right off the bat, he's more of a turbocharged version of Flowers. Is Concepcion better or worse than Golden? I have him graded a little bit higher it's tight, but I have him graded a little bit higher. I think he's just he's just got more explosiveness to his game, and he's just a little bit more explosive in and out of breaks and more and just maintains more of the speed he's built up. So I think he's just a little bit more efficient there. So, all right, well, the Bears have taken Dylan Thieneman, which is tough because he's probably, for me, like 11th or 12th overall player, and they get him here. I have him graded higher than all of the offensive linemen. So there is that. There is that. We were thinking we were out of the woods. We were thinking we were out of the woods, you know. So Texans moved up with the Bills, right? Let me adjust that on the ticker so we're ready for it. Man, yeah, this is going to be 3 hours. Wow. All right, well, the Bears took Thieneman, so let's dive into that one, shall we? Shall we? Frick, man, we doing this every year now. A tradition unlike any other, you might say. Gosh dang it, man. Oh, yeah, Houston needs O-line. They probably went up to make sure they get the last one. Which the last tackle is Lomu, right? So unless they wanted a D tackle or one of the guards, which I don't know if they needed. I wouldn't think they would have needed to do that. So Houston must be going up then to go get Lomu, thinking that the Niners want Lomu to be the successor to Trent Williams, maybe? Maybe that's the vision there for Houston. Because they need O-line, but I feel like their fans seem to think they weren't going to force the issue. But again, maybe one tackle left is enough for them to force the issue. I'm not sure. I mean, Nick, you can clip this 3 out of 3. I think it's really good. Didn't think he'd be here. Thought the pick was going to be McNeil Warren for Chicago. You can clip it. It's not the level of devastation. Thank goodness that Malachi Lawrence is gone. But Thieneman's really good. 6 foot 0 1/4, 201, a 9.82 RAS. He's a tremendous athlete. You saw the testing. It's really impressive. The 4.53 40 I think is real. 2,417 career snaps, 1,399 at free safety, 732 in the box, 236 in the slot. Like that's a really, I think, different distribution than you're going to see from a lot of guys in this class. Whereas I think Thieneman, I think, is the one guy you're going to see in this class at safety who has the majority free safety stuff that I feel like can be a hybrid player, right? Where Genesis Smith has a lot of reps at free safety, but I think he has like an aversion to and a terrible feel for addressing contact as a tackler. Like it's so bad that it's almost a cross off. Whereas Thieneman, I think, he's not a forceful impact tackler, but he's a really reliable one. And that's what you have to have. And so the safety position, which we really haven't talked about tonight, we talked a little bit about it last night, is safety position. You need coverage ID processing, right? You need stop-start quicks, transitional quicks. You need to be a good tackler and a little bit of enforcer at the box. And you have to be good and like maybe more versatile. You have to be effective in coverage in multiple spots, right? A robber, deep half, single high, which I think this guy, obviously Thieneman, can do, right? So in his career, really quick, 8 interceptions, 14 pass breakups, just an 11.5 missed tackle percentage. That's really good. 59 stops is a big number, 10 tackles for loss. Just a 76 passer rating against as a safety. That's pretty darn low. Elite range to play the post safety position. He did it at Purdue, right? He's going to be fine handling hash to sideline range in quarters or cover 2 or cover 4, whatever they're going to do, whatever they're going to match. He runs the alley well from depth against the run. It's really good there. He gets downhill in a hurry. Again, he's a wrap-up tackler, but it's good technique. The processing and anticipation of route concepts are high level. I think he adjusts his angles well in space and on the move. And then again, that's adjusting angles is more you're still in a linear. You're moving one direction, but it's just a slight adjustment, right? It's like running a post route almost. Good communicator, good blitzer, flat destroyer, which you want your linebackers and safeties to be at all times. Good assignment, or he's assignment oriented in deep zone. He filters through the bunches. I think he's really high level. I think he was clearly safety 2 in this class. I think McNeil Warren had a lot more work to do than Thieneman does. He's not a forceful and impact tackler, as I mentioned. He's not the most fluid in transition when he's locked in man coverage. However, the Bears don't necessarily have to put him in man coverage situations. They can put him as post safety if they want to, right? Or just have him in the box and kind of be the robber and do whatever they like. It's a pretty darn good pick for Chicago. It's a little unfortunate he fell that far. Houston came up. Oh, interesting. Okay. So the trade terms for Texans Bills here is Houston trades 26 and 91, right? In exchange for 28, 69 and 168. Wait, no. Yeah. Okay. And the Texans have taken Keelan Rutledge here. So Texans have taken Keelan Rutledge. I didn't expect him to go in front of Basantis and Pregnon. That seems, I'm not sure I like that. Yeah, that's okay. So the Dolphins are on the clock now, by the way. They trade up 3 spots to the Niners. They're giving up 30 and 90 in exchange for 27 and 138. So another trade quickly there. Dolphins are moving up. They've taken Proctor. McCoy? Maybe a falling McCoy. Omar Cooper? Omar Cooper? Question mark? That would be, oh my gosh. Miami going Proctor and Boston is so bad, in my opinion. Oh gosh, that's tough. Hopefully Chris Johnson. Hopefully they're getting Chris Johnson. Drew says, yeah, I did. That's right. You're right. I did say that. I figured, yeah, Miami's moving around in the first draft like, and they've got a lot of picks to do so, but they move around like Goody in the first draft. Drew says, much we could use a guard. I think the Packers are looking for a corner. So it's good for the Packers so far. Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid. They're in a pretty solid place. I still think Proctor's available if 52 they might take him. Okay, but let's talk about Rutledge. Right, we want to get to that quickly here because the Dolphins one's going to be fun to talk about, no matter who it is. Okay, Keelan Rutledge. I know you're here. Okay. Keelan Rutledge. All right, so Rutledge, Georgia Tech guard to the Houston Texans, 6'3 and 3/4, 316. 33 1/4 arm length, a 9.53 RAS, 2,969 snaps at right guard. Not a level of Blake Miller experience, but plenty of experience for sure. Devastating two-hand punch. He does flash some independent hand usage as well, but the two-hand punch is really good. It neutralizes guys immediately. He's got the strong anchor, right? He shuts down the bull rush really nicely. He's good enough with the quickness to mirror. He's not top-end athlete stuff, but he can mirror enough in the phone booth as a guard. Good second-level climber. I think he's a good outside zone savant. So if the Texans are going to stay in that outside zone world with a lot of play action, I think this is going to be a good pick for them. And Rutledge, explosion into contact. He can latch onto blocks. He sustains it, and he wants to bury guys in space, which he does on plenty of occasions. I think the struggle for him is when guys attack half of him, right, as a pass rusher, can you open up and carry guys around the arc, or are you just going to fall behind and lose? That's really, I think, the biggest question for him in pass pro. But he also is more of a waist bender than a knee bender, which is something else he's going to have to clean up. So there are some things to clean up in pass pro, but the temperament, the outside zone fit, like all of that, I think is interesting and is at least worthy of a selection. I thought probably between 30 and 40, but they just clearly liked him more than a Basantis or a Pregnon, which more power to him. I think it still, Houston opens the door for them to draft one of, Woods, McDonald, or Miller at 38, because 38 was not a part of that trade. So Good to know. Miami's on the clock. Miami coming up here. 30 and 90 for 27 and 138. Man, that's what happens. Nobody values safety, and the Cowboys and the Bears get the two best safeties. So it is what it is. So 49ers moved back. They must have really wanted Rutledge them. So he's probably a better run blocker, right? I think at this point, Rutledge is a better run blocker. Yes, I would say so. I think there are good things in pass pro, but I think the longer the rep goes, the more struggles he has. So if he wins initially, it's kind of like it's wraps, we're done, pack it up. But the more guys are able to counter and get into the frame and be able to have a move or two or extra level of explosiveness, that's where you maybe get into, again, more trouble with a knee bender and a guy who can't really turn and run with guys up the arc. So I knew it. Called that one. Bam. Chris Johnson. Good. Miami. All right. Miami, that's much better. That's much better. We like that for you. Much better. Much better, guys. That's much better. They should have just taken Blake Miller and Chris Johnson. Or, Downs and Chris Johnson, perhaps. I think that's a really good. Yeah. Halfley said, "No, okay, you got to take the big boy tackle high recruit. Let me get a DB." Nice. Well done. Really good for the Miami Dolphins. They needed that one. The redemption story. We're back on for tomorrow, Miami. Go crush it tomorrow now. The Dolphins select Chris Johnson, cornerback, San Diego State. Love that. Yeah, Drew, I think, well, obviously the Chiefs went up and got Delane, but if they couldn't do that, I think the Chiefs were kind of like at 29, probably going to do that as a backup or move up like Miami did here and just make sure they secure him. Made sense. Okay, the Bills are moving back again to the Patriots for 31 and 125. This could be Lomu then. But, all right. Let's talk about Chris Johnson. We knew he was going to go tonight. And he's here. He saw what a year of Nixon and Valentine looked like. Yeah. Yep. McCoy's injury, clearly an issue. Yep. Very much so. Yeah, there's not much else to say about that. Very clearly that other knee is a problem. But the Dolphins, Chris Johnson, 6 foot 0 and a quarter, 193, 984 RAS, a 4.4 40-yard dash, 6 interceptions, 14 pass breakups, 5 forced fumbles, a really low missed tackle rate for him, 5.4%. He's got 34 stops in the run game and just a 65 passer rating allowed in coverage. All right, now let's talk about how good the high he's the high IQ guy. This is not surprising that Jeff Hafley is going to like a player like Chris Johnson, right? The high IQ corner, great processing, deciphering skills. He's the route recognition, anticipation guy. Good spacing and coverage as well. Doesn't get bogged down. Isn't running into, isn't running with an assignment that he shouldn't have into a teammate. Right? He's keeping that good spacing. So I love that. The closing burst is good. Another guy who destroys the flat. Right, screen passes are going to hate him coming. Drew also echoing that. Yeah, they ain't going to like trying bubble screens. The Bills trying to bubble screen, or the Patriots try a bubble screen. Not going to like it. He's got the closing burst. Again, another guy who forces windows closed in coverage. He's patient and off coverage as well. He doesn't fall victim to the cheese very much. Again, physical and press coverage as well. Right, when they want him up by the line, he can disrupt routes at the line of scrimmage. He needs to be physical because I don't think he is the twitchiest athlete, but that physicality goes a long way to kind of throw the rhythm off. Right, when you're defending receivers, he's a good tackler at the line of scrimmage, good tackler in space. I think he has enough requisite speed to carry receivers across the field, down the field. It's just really more about those sharp movements in transition, right? Say Chris Johnson's covering a guy like Casey Concepcion. That might be where some of the weaknesses show up a little bit more. He'll be a step behind at the break point if the break point is efficient. But again, in zone coverage, Hafley going to be in a lot of zone coverage down there. I think the recognition, football IQ, tackling, just all of that stuff is going to be top notch. And yeah, I'm really impressed with this player. I'm going to break his game down for the channel for the Miami fans. Hopefully they find it as a honorary member of Packers South, hopefully. But I really do like that for them. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. And again, we love a good comeback story, right? We love a good redemption arc. Okay, and the Patriots came up to do exactly what I expected them to do. Yeah. Yep, this is for Lomu. Not surprising one bit. Last offensive tackle for a long time, I think. Right? There's not anybody else. Not unless you mean like Bell or something like that, but I think that's probably it. For quite some time. Markel Bell might be the next guy. I wouldn't count Dunker as a tackle. But yeah, Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle. Utah coming down to I guess going up to New England. Let's get to that one. So Caleb Lomu, the other Utah tackle. Go Seahawks. There you go. Who you guys going to get? That's really the question. Who you guys getting? 32, you going to stay there? You going to trade out? Excited to see what you do. Yeah, unless you go guard. Yeah, so it's Basantis and Pregnon now and Dunker, right? Is there anybody else that projected round 2 that I'm not thinking of at the moment that I'm like, yeah. I mean, this is what we expected. There was talk about potentially 9 offensive linemen. We're up to 8, taking Colton Hood. Ooh, like that. I like that. Or just maybe take McCoy. I mean, it's worth a swing. You're the Super Bowl champs. All right, so Lomu, smooth mover, right? 6'5 3/4, 313. He's got 33 3/8 in his arm length. He's got 9.78 RAS. Again, he's the smooth mover tackle, right? Footwork to recover. He can redirect on an island and pass pro. He flashes the snatch and trap. He did it a lot more in 24 than in 25, but that is there. The quick hands to do so when guys are leaning too much to try to get into his frame. He's effective in the run game, of course. When you're a smooth mover like that, you can reach block defensive tackles in wide zone. He gets to landmarks as a puller. He can adjust to targets in space, which is something I was talking about when we were talking about, who are we talking about? Ioane, I think, is who we were talking about, maybe not adjusting to targets super well, which I guess wasn't that long ago. But he does a good job with that. I think he needs to improve the grip strength, right? I think he loses control too often. Again, he's another guy. Same thing, like most of these dang tackles, he catches everybody. He doesn't strike first, but when he does strike first, he can prevent the power moves. It's just not consistent enough right now. And if he doesn't, which happens quite a bit, if he's not ready to strike with that outside hand and he's a little late getting that outside hand up, he will get beat around the corner. But this is, again, potential insurance if the Patriots need to move Will Campbell back inside, right? To avoid having him on the island, maybe you trust Caleb Lomu there a little bit more. I would understand it. No question about it. So who's up now? Okay, so the Jets are trading up from 33. Whoops. Here we go. Jets are trading 33 and 179 for pick 30. Niners want it out. I think there's 2 names. What do the Chiefs do? The heck did the Chiefs do? Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Sure. Sure, Chiefs. Sure. Sure. All right, you did one thing. You did one thing right. So you've earned your chance to swing, I guess. You've earned. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. So the Chiefs are selecting Peter Woods. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just. I'll be one of those guys. I'm not in. But, doesn't mean others can't not be in. Other people can be in on Peter Woods. I'm just not one of those individuals. Again, another guy kind of like Mawanoa, but not maybe a little more severe, where I was like, okay, this is a top guy. I haven't watched him. I was like, all right, 25 didn't look very good. What's 24 look like? It looks okay, but it's not really that much better. Yeah, it's a struggle. 6'2.5", 298, 31 and a quarter inch arm length, 7.59 RAS, 1,258 career snaps, 5 sacks, 14 and a half tackles for loss, 61 stops, 54 pressures on 759 pass rush snaps. He's not the most productive pass rusher of the defensive tackles. So, pad level, hand placement, and timing earn him 1v1 wins against the run, and that's really when the get off is good, right? He's got the pop and he's got good grip strength in the hands, right? It gets him, it keeps him leveraged at contact, and then he can push pull, he can get guys on the ground, right? When that happens, that it works, okay? The problem is, which we'll get to, but he's got an effective first step quickness when he times a snap, and I think that's an important part, when he actually times a snap up. He can flash wins crossing the face as a pass rusher. We talked about the push-pull. Now, he gets to the bull rush a lot, and he really is slow to counter with the swim move, with the swipes after his initial rush gets stalled. I just don't think he counters fast enough for it to matter. Especially, it's not going to matter when he makes the jump to the NFL. I don't think the quickness and agility is high end. I think Halton and Proctor and Banks all move better than him for sure. I think the Jets pick is what I think it is. I'll guess. I haven't seen it, but I think I know what it is. Quickness, agility, again, isn't high end. He's got to be more consistent off the ball to win with what he has, which he isn't enough right now. I think the balance through collisions is a question. He absolutely cannot hold up against double teams anymore. He's way down to 298. He can get pushed off the ball pretty consistently. He can get pinned down with down blocks. The consistent decline in pass rush win rate, run stop rate, and pressure rate. I get it if the run stop rate keeps going down as your trimming rate, but the pressure rate and the pass rush win rate should be going up. And it hasn't. So was he more effective as a bigger player versus slimming down? I think that question can be asked. And then obviously he has issues with the length, the arm length. He's not going to have a lot of tackling range, and it's going to cause issues at the point of attack. I don't like this. I would not have picked him in the first. Again, I'm not a GM, so it's very fair to question my credentials. I just didn't see a lot of it. I was really, really underwhelmed to a level I did not expect. So now the Jets move up from 33 to 30. Juice and I talked about this last night. Would the Jets move up to take D'Angelo Pons? Would the Jets move up to take D'Angelo Pons? I think it's one of two Indiana guys. It's Pons or it's Omar Cooper. All right, so we're going to look now. Let's find out. Okay, it's Omar Cooper. Okay, so it's not Pons, but it is Cooper. Same school. Yep, okay. I figured it was one of the two Indiana cats, which I think this makes up for what they've done so far. So that's fine, I think. I think this is fine. I think this is the player I think they needed at 16. I know Connor Rogers and those guys, they were clearly like in thinking that Omar Cooper was somebody the Jets were clearly looking at, and turns out, yes, they absolutely were doing so. Just not at 16. And I was wondering, I remember going through scenarios at 16 going, the Jets, like if all of the offensive playmakers are gone, could they just take Sadiq? Turns out they just took Sadiq anyway instead of Mekhi Lemon. But Cooper, 6'8", 199, 916 RAS, one of the receivers at the top who actually tested, ran the 440 and a 442. 937 yards, 13 touchdowns, 2.5 yards per route run in 2025. Does feel like they got the end of this tier break, which I would definitely agree that I think this is the last guy in that tier. I think Cooper to me is in the same tier as Matthew Golden, as Ladd, as some of these guys in the early second who are, and Brian Thomas was in here for me as well, of like guys who are going to be really effective. The yak work is special. Yards after the catch, the quick footwork to set up the favorable wins. We talked about that with Lemon. Omar Cooper has it as well. I think there's great contact balance as a runner. A couple great instances. The Miami game's one of them where he dips under a would-be tackler because he's just flexible and juiced up enough to do so. Good stiff arm timing in space. He attacks downhill quickly. He's a really twitchy mover in open space, and he's got the awareness. I think the best example of the heightened awareness from Cooper as a receiver is he runs a glance route against Illinois. And as the ball arrives, he feels like the defender, the safety, is closing in. So what he does is he slightly adjusts path, dips the shoulder, and continues on, right? And that type of detail post-catch, that's why we let off with the yards after the catch stuff, because I think that's where he crushes it right now. And I think other parts have to get better. He gets to be a number 2 in New York, which is good for him. He flashes some tempo variation, right? When he's running some slot fades, he's got some mid-route adjustments against coverage rotations, not necessarily corners who kind of inhibit his initial path. It's more of like when there's zone rotations, he knows where he needs to be, which is a good thing. There's going to be a lot of zone rotations in the league when he sees them on Sundays. He flashes some weight drop at the break point, which is good. The release quicks definitely show up. He's really good at outbreaking routes. If you look at 2024 especially, that was really impressive from him. A good speed turn guy in outbreakers, specifically good speed turns there. Against soft press coverage, he attacks leverage pretty well initially. He gains ground well against guys who are maybe a couple yards off the line of scrimmage without sort of running away from them. You'll see some guys run the go routes and stuff and get into the stem by getting away from defenders, when in reality you need to close that space to open up everything else because they'll just squeeze you to the sideline, right? And so I think that's good there without giving up the two-way go, which is what I mentioned there. He's a little bit of a drifter on in breakers, and that's what needs to be sharper the next level for me. And then he also, I think, lets the football into late windows. I would like to see him attack the catch point quicker. A little bit of underhand attack guy down the field at the catch point, which is what we don't want to see. So there are some improvements at the catch point, and I think in the route running stuff that I think will get better. But I love him as a wide receiver too for the Jets. So didn't even put this on there. Darn it. But let's make sure it's there for symmetry. Titans have traded with the Bills. Another trade for the Bills. They're moving all over the place. Okay. So quick notes on some of these trade packages here. We talked about 33 and 179 for 30. The Jets moved up. We talked about that 3-pick trade with Texans Bills. Bills moved back again with the Patriots. And now Tennessee moves up here and they get and they get Keldrick Falk. Sorry. Bill's trying to draft Keon Coleman again. They might. They might take Boston next. That would be so them. Okay. What was I going to do? There was something I was going to show. Oh. I know. Let's do this before we get to Falk. Can we look at this? Here. Boop. So this is Peter Woods on the mock draftable. The percentiles are so low. And when you look at like all of his comps, Brandon Cleveland from this class, Skylar Gill-Howard, who is small. And then you got Mo Hurst, Jerzon Newton. Those aren't bad ones. But again, guys who have not panned out. Like I love Johnny Newton, ILL forever, but he has not figured it out yet. It's just not a good group to be at. And again, the mock draftable isn't necessarily everything, right? But again, it's it's just worth bringing up, right? It's worth just saying something, right? All right, let's talk about Keldrick Falk, the edge from Auburn. How do we feel? How does everyone else feel about Keldrick Falk? Would you say? The one thing he's reasonable on in height is what makes all the yeah. It'd be nice if he just had a lower center of gravity and was just trying to win some of those. But yeah. All right, let's talk about Falk here, a player who maybe has some of the best football ahead of him, but there are some things that I think I definitely would question about this guy. 6'5" and 7'8", 276, 34 and 3/8 arm length. That arm length gives him a lot of wins as a down edge rusher. Maybe this is Robert Saleh seeing the Michael Williams last year, right, when he was in San Francisco and went, can we get one of those? Yes, we can. Okay, great. The 911 RAS, 2025, 30 pressures, 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 4 passes defensed, a 9.5% pressure rate, not great. 23 run stops, though, not bad. This is your strong edge setter, right? This isn't the guy who's going to go hunt QBs, win around the arc. That's not his style, right? But he's going to get great extension at the point of attack. He's going to strike really confidently and in a good spot, and he can shed blocks because, again, there are going to be tackles who can't match his length at the point of attack. And if he strikes well enough, he'll be able to get to the swim and the swipe move as a pass rusher, right, which is what he can do to get off blocks against the run. So if he can get to contact with that length and strike well as a pass rusher, that's where he gets his wins. And so he can swat away linemen trying to strike him. So the length is going to be what's his calling card, I think, right? And he's just going to be edge setter, collapse the line, turn guys back inside, right? Not get moved off the ball, reduce him inside maybe as a pass rusher. I don't think he's ever going to be on the level of some of these other guys. I don't mind him being edge 5, right? We're edge 5 now. Just the Miami kids, Bailey and Lawrence, right? That's it. Yeah, I don't mind this. I think there's a tier break after Lawrence and those guys. So I understand this. You need to have an edge setter. You need to have guys who can give you the opportunity to commit more bodies to coverage, which Saleh wants to be 4 guys and go, right? And so that will help him, and potentially Tennessee go find a guy like a Hill, like a Rodriguez, to run around and cover as much grass as possible. But again, he's really, really slow off the ball, though. He's got to get a little bit better with the timing of the snap, the get off, all of that to at least threaten a little bit more as a pass rusher, right? He's just going to struggle to get early wins in both phases if he isn't off the ball fast enough. And doesn't have the change of direction quicks, right? That's going to take him out of plays if he doesn't set the strong edge or he doesn't get out in space quick enough to get wins to the perimeter, right? But obviously, and there's some pad level questions maybe at 6'5" and change, but again, this is your edge setting type. This isn't going to be, hey, this is a cool ceiling as a pass rusher. This really isn't that. It's just more of we need like this type of player in the room, right? So 3 hours, 3 minutes in, we're at the end of round 1. Freaking John Schneider. Freaking knew it. I was going to put him in there. I freaking was going to put Ben Solak ran the pick as many players as you can to go in the first round. If you get one wrong, you're out. I almost put this guy in there. I knew they were going to do this. There was a gut feeling. John Schneider was cooking too hard. He was cooking too hard. Everybody, you know what it is. Come on, guys. You already know. Oh, my goodness. I mean, he's talented, but like, goodness sakes, what are we doing? Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Don't like that. Gosh, there were plenty of options here. What are we doing? Come on, man. I have his thing. I knew it. Freaking knew it. That's why I had his graphic made for tonight. It's Jadarian Price, Drew. Yeah. It's Jadarian Price. Notre Dame running back. Ay. Why? Why? Why do this? Why? don't. Oh no. Whoops. I just don't. Just can't get me on board here. It's not as, I don't think it's as maybe egregious as when they took Rashad Penny, but ay. I mean, they needed it, right? So they weren't going to wait around until 64 when nobody was, when maybe their guy wasn't going to be there. Darn it. I would have had a real shot in Solak's thing if I'd picked Price. And I wasn't sure. Okay, well, Jadarian Price, 5'11 and a quarter, 203, 858 RAS, 113 for 674 and 11 on the ground in 2025. Did fumble 3 times, so ball security might be something to pay attention to with him. 3.92 yards after contact per attempt, 32 forced missed tackles in 2025 as well. He's a home run hitter, right? This is it is very Kenneth Walker coded in terms of what he's going to provide you, right? Like you have, Zach Charbonnet coming off of a major injury. You lose Walker to the Chiefs. I get it. You don't have the home run hitter right now, and you maybe weren't willing to wait for Emmett Johnson or Mike Washington Jr. You were Super Bowl champs, so you have some luxury. But, I think, again, he's explosive. He's got the home run ability, right? He flashes the ability to navigate through tough traffic where you have to recognize where the leverage is, where lanes are opening last second. And when he sees all of that, he attacks, and it's really good burst. It's the long speed. He can open it up quickly, right? He's not going to lose speed when he's moving on a curvilinear track. And when he explodes downhill, when he is, patient, kind of, as they string that thing out and the blocks get set up, and then boom, he is gone with that level of acceleration. So it's impressive. I think, he has the cutback recognition when you run zone stuff, which they're going to still have in that offense. He can press the line of scrimmage and bounce effectively to win the corner. Right. I think the one thing that I would point out is maybe a point of concern is when he is reading things out, sometimes the base gets a little wide. And when the base gets wide like that, you struggle to be able to change direction. You struggle to be able to navigate into the gap that opens up quickly. And so if he can fix that and he can get the base where it needs to be, he's going to be even more effective between the tackles. I think he was in the RB2 conversation. I think it's him or Coleman. You could convince me either way. I think I put Coleman there just barely. But I think, the receiving production's a question, but he doesn't look uncomfortable catching the football, right? But the ball security is something. 3 fumbles, 113 carries. That's definitely something to monitor. But again, they didn't have the home run threat, and then they go get him. So there you go. That's the first round in 3 hours and 8 minutes. Wow. That feels pretty good, guys. I might be able to save my voice. So there you go. I think we're going to do a quick reaction show. I'm going to poke around and see who's maybe up for it. And we'll check in there. But the goal is to go live to do a reaction show right after this. Give me a 20-minute break here. And then, we'll dive into some of this from a team building perspective, right? And hopefully, look, I'll be searching for a guest. We'll see. I know there are some guys that are going live after this and might be gassed from being live. So it might just be me, but we'll definitely save the ticker so it's up there. But yeah, I think he kind of reminds me more athletic Bucky Irving. That's interesting. Too old for this. What's going on? I've seen you in here a little bit talking about 2 first round Notre Dame running backs. The Carnell Tate pick was odd to me. Yeah, I think very clearly, right? Tennessee wanted David Bailey, and they were hoping that the Jets were going to take Reese, because I think Jets take Reese. I think the Cardinals still take Jeremiah Love. and then you have, David Bailey fall in your lap. And so that's maybe what they were thinking. And that's, and they just pivoted, right? They needed a receiver one. They don't have one right now. I will say that much. They do not have a receiver one. I'm not going to be buying in on the Alec Iomanner stock or Chimere DK, right? All of that stuff. Like, I'm not buying into those guys necessarily. So like Tennessee needed a wide receiver one. And if they wanted one, they were going to have to take one at 4, right? You've seen it. It's thinned out. We didn't get Omar Cooper to fall to 35. We'd have to settle for Denzel Boston. I'm not big on that, and it doesn't seem like everybody else is either. I think Cam Ward, pushing the ball downfield vertically to Carnell Tate, I think will work. But I do agree that, Reese, Styles, Downs, all of those guys are much better right now, but I get that they needed a receiver one. Adam Huddles' Cade McDonald dream to Green Bay is still alive. Drew said, "Do you think Calvin Ridley is a 2?" Yeah, he can't catch the ball. He had a great season a couple seasons ago, and then we've regressed. We can't catch the ball. We're not on the same page. I don't know. I feel like his best days are behind him, and I don't think we're gonna get to see him at his best again. So, from a Packers perspective, should we look at a board here and see what's still available? Yeah, let me see what I can pull up here. Okay. I'm going to find my All right, cross off, Sadiq. Yeah, I've got an idea. Yes, pre-fill. All right, we can pull this up. Okay, so let's okay, so we got the picks in there. Yeah, most edges. We lost most O-lines. Pons, a lot of guys falling down so far. So I'm trying to think. All right, I'm trying to go through these and who we didn't talk about tonight. Avion Terrell did not go. Cassius Howell, no Basantis, no Miller, no C.J. Allen, no Colton Hood, no Pons, no Denzel Boston, no Pregnon, no McNeil Warren, no Rodriguez, no McCoy, no McDonald. That might be it. R. Mason Thomas still available. TJ Parker, Traden Stukes, Zion Young. Okay, so I think, yeah, I mean, Banks and Woods were the only D tackles who got picked. So it's which it makes sense, right? The McDonald, Miller, and Hunter are your one techs. Didn't value them. As far as corners go, yeah, it's Terrell, Pons, both Tennessee guys, Hood and McCoy, right? And then obviously, you start that other tier of guys with Everett and Igbinosin, guys like that. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't imagine. Oh, the Florida kid. Oh, Devin Moore. Yeah, he's in that other tier as well. Yeah, I would imagine you're going to see Terrell, Hood, Pons go. I don't know now. The McCoy of it all is interesting because is he gonna fall as far as Will Johnson? Is he gonna fall further than Will Johnson? I don't know. Tricky stuff, honestly. Tricky stuff. So we never found my Caden Proctor. and we didn't have banks, but otherwise we were good for everything. So we got stumped a little. Not sure what happened to the Proctor one. I was putting them all together last night. But ideal trade spots, we can, hold on. Let me go back here. Trade spots. So the Niners have 33 now. Buffalo's moved back thrice. Raiders, Giants. I mean, it's probably in this area, no? In these early 40s. Maybe Baltimore at 45 would like to move back. That might be the spot. I mean, the Chiefs moved up and gave up a lot. 40 could be a move back spot for them. So like Niners, what are they going to do tomorrow? Are they just going to take Basantis or Pregnon probably? Right? This is what we should do. What am I doing? For the Packers fans, let's do this for you guys. Let's all second round pre-fill. Just think about what we're going to do here. All right, so if the Niners, the Bills don't want it. The Bills want, I mean, they gave up that 2 for DJ Moore. They got to get some. Okay. So if we think about what we want to do, hold on, I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment, and I'm going to bring up like the tab. There we go. Okay. So if we think that the Niners take one of the guards, no, they probably take Pregnon. Let's give them Pregnon. Arizona took Love. They're going to need it. They got to do something. Yikes. Let's go Terrell. No. They have that. Allen, maybe. They probably. Let's go R. Mason for them. Buffalo probably moved back thinking they can get Allen or McNeil Warren. Allen, let's go Allen here. This spot is probably Boston. Giants went Reese and Mawanoa, so they got kind of guard out of the way, but they have Reese. Okay, so they could take McNeil Warren. Let's do that. Texans, they got that. They're going to take one of these cats for sure. Let's give them Caden. I know that hurts for Adam Huddle there. DT edges, cornerback, linebacker all still have good options. Cleveland, they've got their tackle and their wide receiver. Terrell could work for them. And then you have these guys who I think will take Chris Bell. So that puts you right here with smack dab where Cincy is. They need guard, defensive line. I don't know why defensive interior is still here. Linebacker, safety. They could take a linebacker, right? They could go get themselves Rodriguez here. I mean, Hood is available and McCoy both. This is where I would expect one of them to go. Right? I think. Maybe Bengals would want to move back. Yeah, it's possible. We can undo that. So what does this look like here? So a 60% chance to succeed to give up both to move up to 41. Do you want to do that? Would you rather give up a little less? Probably. Yeah. It's tricky. I think we don't move up there. I think they would consider it, but I think they're gonna take Rodriguez. Yeah, it's a lot to move there. Saints, again, I think they're probably gonna take one of these guys. Or they're gonna take like Miller. Yeah, they kind of need. Well, no, they were talked about edge, so maybe they'll go like Parker. Let's say they take Parker. All right, we're trying to fudge this, so we look at maybe a potential move up for either Tennessee guy, tackle, guard, wide receiver. Yikes! I don't know what they would do there. Guys, I fear. Okay, so I fear that Christian Miller is probably the pick there. Here's where they're going to take one of these two. Right? And so then if you want the other one, say you want McCoy. Let's say this is McCoy. Oh, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. We haven't taken Pons, have we? Yeah, no, I think he'll take Pons there. Okay, and then so this becomes, I think, more manageable. Yeah, so you can move up there. 45. 45 seems to be the spot. Oh my gosh. Take 160. So bam, there you are, and we're on the clock. It'll probably take more than 160. It'll probably take the fourth, maybe. I don't know though. The trades tonight have been pretty. I don't know. They've been pretty. They were pretty tame in terms of what was involved a lot tonight. A lot of day 3 picks were involved. A lot of pick swaps. It seemed like later in the round. So maybe 120, maybe 153 does get it done. I don't know. So which one do we want, guys? We want one McCoy or Hood? Which one? Yeah, maybe 160 and a 7th. Yeah, that would probably do it. We're taking one of them. Who do we want? We want Hood? Hood over McCoy. Okay, well there you go. They get Colton Hood, and then we'll see what happens. See what happens at 82, right? That seems pretty good. I think tomorrow, okay, hopefully. I think tomorrow, I'm going to message really quick and see if one of my buddies. I'm going to just message and see. But that's interesting. So moving up to 45 seems like a spot. Because I think if I can get somebody to do the recap show with me, we'll do it live. If not, I'll probably record it. We'll put it on Substack, do all that. But I think that's interesting. So that's a little fascinating little deal there. So yeah, I don't think Pons will be the pick for Green Bay. They'll want to stay a little closer to the thresholds with one of the Tennessee guys if they like him. So it's fair. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody hanging out for night one. I appreciate everybody who made the trip. I know there's a lot of live shows out there. I know a lot of the Packers folks in the space do the live shows during. I know there's a lot of great people doing the live shows, right? Like, PTA's doing it. I know Brett and EJ are doing it right now. I know Bengals doing it now. I know Bleach Report has stuff. The Athletic Football Show, all of that stuff has. They're all doing great stuff online. There's so many streams to choose from. So I appreciate you, those who hung out here all night. And I hope to see you all tomorrow night for night 2. So thank you guys again so much. For those in the chat, of course, thank you to my dad who was hanging out, and to Juice, Pack 247, Ayers, Drew, of course, hopping in. Adam Huddle was in and out, I know for sure. Mentioned Juice. I saw a Seahawks fan who came in to hang out for a little bit. I saw Nick comment. I always appreciate Nick chilling, even waiting for my reaction to the Bears selection, which I thought was a good one for them. Lee, I saw you pop in there saying go Fins. Appreciate you doing that. But yeah, it was a fun little group tonight. And hopefully we just have more people tomorrow night on a Friday and we can all chill. We can go through this at warp speed again. And Too Old for This, again, shout out to you. I did not forget about you in there. But yeah, thank you guys all for sure. Joseph Gleason, of course. Yes. Thoughts on Abney? I like it. I think he's better at press coverage right now than he is zone coverage, Joseph. But I think he needs to be his own corner. So I think that's going to be tricky. But to all of you who hung out and to all of you who didn't even who maybe just threw a like down there and stayed in, appreciate that as well. Pack 247. I saw this. If Micah was in this draft, would he go 1? Yeah, probably. And so for those for all the support, we will continue it. At the very least, we will definitely be live recapping the first 2 days tomorrow night with a pretty big group, I think, which is always a fun one to hang out and do that. I'll probably have some breakdowns in the morning for some of the other teams. Probably going to do the Chris Johnson vid for the Dolphins fans and some other stuff. So if you watch those as well, that's obviously much appreciated. It's a big week. Not going to get much sleep, but that's what it is. That's what this is about. I'm jacked. This was a quick show. We did half of a second round of a mock draft, and we're less than 3.5 hours. So that feels kind of good. Hopefully we'll be able to get a little rest for tomorrow. But again, thank you all a ton. Hit that thumbs up if you can on the way out. And yeah, we'll catch you guys tomorrow or potentially shortly. You'll know if so. But turn the notification bell on if you haven't. That'll let you know when the live starts. Every live starts. So if you haven't done that, do that too. Go Pack Go for all the Packers fans. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We'll get to pick. Thank you guys so much, and good night, everyone.